What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM. It's time for week number 7, and we're starting off here with Stork versus Soma. Let's get it started. Alright, boys, we're bringing up the lineup. Kind of a messy one here this week. There it is. Definitely Protoss slacking a little bit here, earning themselves a very low percentage win chance according to the fans, but the GOAT is here. I mean, how can you underestimate the GOAT? Shuttle back in the lineup. It's nice to see. In terms of Zerg, looking pretty strong. In terms of Terran, looking pretty strong, but with just best Stork and Shuttle, not a lot of faith in the Protoss lineup this week.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The GOAT he's talking about is Shuttle, by the way, being maybe a little bit ironic there. But he was the OG winner of ASL 1, so I gotta give some credit where it's due. Have to say the Terran lineup looking pretty strong. I think Royal and Rush probably the two best Terrans right now in terms of their current condition, and I think Light is a great addition to that roster. Soma's obviously going to be a heavy lifter for the Zerg squad, and Queen and Jaedong not too bad as well. So yeah, I would say this is looking like one of the weeks where maybe Terran could win it.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a possibility. I think Stork might be a little bit of a sleeper, though. We'll see.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
I've been underestimating this guy for a while. I've been, you know, not thinking much of him for quite some time. But in recent months, he has been improving a lot, and he has been surprising me kind of consistently in Pro League and in KCM as well.
Well, he also had a pretty good performance in the ASL Open tournament. He had a game against Calm on match point. He did end up losing that game, it has to be said, but his overall gameplay was actually pretty solid. So yeah, I would say he's in relatively good condition to what we've seen from him in the past. Gonna be Jaedong now against Soma for Stork to contend with. Probably one of the hardest matchups he could have thought about. I think this map is really tricky to play on at the moment, and Soma probably one of the most trickiest opponents for Stork to start things off, but who knows? He may surprise us.
He's going to come in now and try to kill this Marine, but Soma with the tried and true, just denying the scouting here, going to create a bit of ambiguity inside the main. Oh, he slipped past. That was a really good move from Stork. You're actually supposed to be able to deny the probe there, Shun.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. This is a big deal. I mean, Protoss being able to scout this early is a big deal. But, to be fair, Soma does plop down the hatchery in that third base spot right away. But it is a nice boon for Stork to get this early scouting intel, and he is electing to skip that forge like we usually see on this map. Seems to be the strongest way of playing on Jaedong is to just go straight into a Nexus after a gateway, and powering up really heavily in your tech, getting all your timing super crisp. Stork kind of hiding the probe inside the main base of Soma. He's not going to do anything fancy like try and proxy or anything like that. He's just literally trying to obscure the positioning of the scout so the links move out and then the probe can continue to scout freely.
Yeah, I think that Soma might have realized now that there's a probe here somewhere. He's looking for a potential proxy over there on that high ground. We haven't seen any Protoss players try to pull that off yet, but you can see Soma very aware of it. Does find the probe here in the main and will continue to chase that down. Stork just rocketing up to a cybernetic score and Stargate here as quickly as possible while making his decision about the next phase of this game. Do you think we're going to see Reavers here out of Stork, or do you think kind of Sally's
No, I don't think Stork's a Reaver guy if he can help it. He's a much more traditional style of Protoss. I don't think we'll see anything fancy from him at all. Unfortunately, Say, I know you really do like to see Reaver Say, especially on this map because it's so viable here, but yeah, I don't think so. I think Stork actually one of the lowest percentage chance of electing to use that style.
Wow, rare error there. Soma not sending his drones immediately, but yeah, I think you're right. I think anything that's like super high execution oriented, APM intensive is going to be hard for Stork to pull off. But look at him, 370 APM. Let's see if he can keep that up. That's a pretty sizable APM number. That's a pretty like respectable level that he's managed to maintain here. I usually see him kind of drop off as the action starts to happen, hovering around 300, maybe 250, but potentially like he has been training. Definitely, you could tell from his play recently he's been training.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I'm sure that speed will level out a little bit as the game progresses. It'll get closer and closer to 250, but we'll see if we can keep it up. Looks like Soma going to be cross-teching right off the bat. He's got that Hydra Den finished up not long after plopping down that Spire, keeping both tech choices available to him. So he could go for some kind of pre-storm timing, although it's a lot less likely on Jane Doe, unless Stork gets greedy and tries to take a very quick third base. Then Soma would probably be happy to pull the trigger on that. And even if he doesn't go for a pre-storm timing, he could, you know, try and run it down with some Mutalisks and Scourge as well. We've seen Mutalisk being used very effectively on this map, especially with that back pocket expansion. Hard to maneuver down there to defend when your army is towards the front. So definitely a lot of options available to Soma, which is the style that he loves.
Yeah, this is a good map for drops as well, kind of like Match Point. We've seen Soma play so much drop play on Match Point. It's become a real theme. We'll see if he wants to elect to do something like that. This game, I don't see a robotics facility for Stork, so it does seem like he's going to play a little bit more of a normal style. Unless that's it. Nope. No, yeah, just a normal style here from Stork. Going to try to push down to try and take that third base pretty soon, but you can't take it quite as quickly without the Reaver.
No, you can't, but did you notice his Templar Archives is a little bit quicker than usual? It's almost like he's anticipating a possible pre-storm timing here from Soma, and he's got this finished up like close to 6 minutes. This is about as crisp as you can do it without affecting your build adversely. So he's going to have more of like an 8-minute storm timing effective rather than like an 8:30 or something like that, which actually might help him out a lot if Soma... Oh, that's painful. That was so well timed. Like, I genuinely believe that Soma's got it dialed in, that when you go gateway tech on this map, he knows roughly when that Corsair is likely to pop. He's kind of probably got the production cycle timing in his head, and he probably set up for that, knowing roughly when that Corsair was popped out, and it lined up perfectly, Sam.
Yeah, that's crazy if true. I mean, sometimes you just send it in and try to get lucky there, but Soma, just the timing is too perfect. And getting that one kill means that it really opens up the possibilities here for Soma. Oh, and the DT walking on the high ground there, blindsided by the Hydras just standing in wait. That's unfortunate for Stork, because now he doesn't have that tool for the assistance here with the defense and the natural, and he's actually going to pull back up to high ground. He's worried about potentially being pushed off of a nexus down here on the low ground.
Yeah, this is rough, and he has set up for a slightly earlier storm timing. It won't be quite crisp 8 minutes, but close enough to it. But the fact, oh, okay, lost another Corsair. This is starting to spiral slightly out of control for Stork. It's not like the game is over or anything, but losing 2 Corsairs for free right off the bat, and you don't even know if your opponent's going to commit to like a Hydra Muta style or something, it feels super painful. You can't afford to make Templars and Corsairs right now, so he probably won't replenish those Corsair count. That means he has less air control. Like, he's barely got enough to one-shot Scourge with +1 upgrade, which isn't even finished yet. This is looking suboptimal for Stork, to say the least. He's hunting down some Overlords, which is nice. Soma, meanwhile, taking his 4th base, and now Stork trying to pressure with some speed lots.
I would be absolutely shocked if we didn't see Soma go for a big round of Mutalisks here, and with all this damage, killing off even more Corsairs, I'm more and more certain that we're going to see that Mutalisk transition from him. Another one goes down, so down to just 2 overall Corsairs. If he doesn't make a Dark Archon right now, I think he's going to die to Mutas.
Yeah, I would be kind of flabbergasted if Stork doesn't try and make a Dark Archon right now. It feels like you kind of have to, right? Like, you just know the guy's going to at least make some Mutalisks. The question is how many? Is it just going to be a few to snipe probes and occasionally a Templar, or is he going to fully commit into like 10 Mutas and start one-shotting stuff? You kind of have to make a DA right now. Granted, it does take a long time for the energy to come online. You're waiting like a whole minute for that 50 extra energy on the Dark Archon once it's finished morphing, so he still wouldn't be safe for a while while transitioning into that, but I think it's a necessity. Look at Soma, man. He is going for that Hydra Muta style, but he's got triple Evos, an early 4th base. This is one of the most optimal Zerg versus Protoss openings I've seen from a Zerg in a long time. He's got pretty much his cake, and he's eating it too.
Ugh, that is a nasty build there. Like, triple evolution chamber with all those hatcheries down already. This is looking extremely difficult for Stork. He's actually making Corsairs, so he's planning to just remake Corsairs rather than make the Dark Archon. I mean, it's alright. Bit of more mobile defense. I think it's better if you need to defend a base like up in the top right here, but I don't know if it's gonna matter, man. Is he gonna really have enough Corsairs here for one Stargate to overwhelm the Scourge and Mutas of Soma, who's now up here in this top right? He's already killing probes. These 2 cannons have gone away immediately, and he can't really engage with these Corsairs. He's got to wait for a bigger critical mass. This is a problem.
Yeah, this is definitely a problem. I like that Stork had some Dragoons on standby towards that base in the back pocket to help escort the Corsairs into that engagement and what have you, but it still looks suboptimal, man. Like, Soma's ahead in supply right now. This usually shouldn't happen in an orthodox game of Zerg versus Protoss. It's just the build of Soma has been that good, and just picking off those Corsairs has completely changed the dynamics of this game. Stork is definitely on the back foot, and he's catching maybe some more Corsairs here and keeping the pressure online. Stork is pinned back in his base while Soma continues to grow, now taking a 5th base.
I gotta say, this is scary. Soma, his level that he's displaying right now, he's certainly not falling off. He's certainly not easing up as we go into this season of ASL. He is continuing to dominate with Mutas, continuing to be extremely scary when it comes to this versus Protoss matchup. I think these other players are going to have to pray for a Zerg like Larva or somebody hero to come out and just beat this guy down early. Otherwise, there's going to be a difficult fight waiting for them in the semifinals or the finals.
And even then, Soma's pretty darn good in ZVZ too. Yeah, I mean, Lava's had a lot of success in ZVZ recently, but I can't think of many people that would be able to take on Soma in a ZVZ. So yeah, this is looking scary for tournament contenders. Soma looks like he's flourishing right now in his overall ability, running in with some Scourge picking off Corsairs while the Mutalisks dive the Templars. You kind of need perfect storming to negate this, and even if you do fight back the Mutalisks like he's done so, he's bled off quite a few Templars and Corsairs in the process, but it wasn't too terrible, although we do see the Observer now sniped from Soma's Hydralisk, so that does sandbag any kind of move out from Stork. He kind of did okay against the Mutalisks, but he's lost his timing due to that Observer going down, and Soma's got Defilers out already, man. Like, he's got 5 bases, triple Evo, and Defiler tech before 13 minutes in the game. I mean, how does this guy do it?
I don't know, Shun. It's kind of crazy to watch. Yeah, generally 14 minutes is like the earliest you'll have Defiler in this matchup. That's like a really fast Defiler, but pre-13 minutes is kind of incredible. And he can even make another round of Mutas here too and just start sniping High Templars again because all the Corsairs are gone. There's only 2 Templar here, and those could be sniped as well. Dark Storms are going to get laid down on this high ground. There's no way Stork pushes up on this high ground, man. He has to sit here and take this 4th base and potentially try to take a 5th before he really thinks about doing anything.
It's really insane, because usually Stork would have a timing attack where there's a power spike where you've got like more than 2 control groups of goons and you can actually start skirmishing with the Zerg before the Defilers are out, and somehow Soma has completely leapfrogged that power spike and completely nullified these Dragoons with the Dark Swarm now. Stork is in so much trouble. The main backbone of his army is effectively useless with that Spellcaster unit. He's trying to take a 4th base behind this, but I'm a little bit worried for him. Plague is finished at 14 minutes in. Usually players are struggling to get their Defilers out at 14 minutes, much less having Consume and Plague finished. Oh my god, this is brutal. Good counter-attack though from Stork. 4 Zealot hit squad in the bottom left pocket base, and he's going to also get a DT in here too. This is some nice damage from Stork. It's pretty much the only damage he's able to achieve. I don't think it's quite going to be enough, but at least it's something.
He's spreading out his army all over the place. I think having a hard time controlling on all these different sides. You can see around 270 APM. He's definitely falling back a little bit in terms of that APM. We're around the level where we usually expect to see Stork. I would have liked to see Stork try to push through the top part of the map, maybe kill that temple and go around the map so that he can, you know, open up another pathway to try and attack Soma, because going over this high ground just seems impossible. Soma is maxing out here soon, and attacking up onto that ramp seems like a death sentence.
Oh my gosh, Soma's a genius. He's like pretending to take the 6 o'clock base like he actually wants it. It's just to pull the army of Stork out of position so he can just drive a wedge between the army and the rally point of Stork, cutting off the path of retreat here from the Protoss. And once he's set down this lurker line, he can continue to flood units to pincer and flood and clean up this army on aisle 5 right now from Stork. Pretty masterful play here from Soma overall. I don't think there's much counterplay available to Stork, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's many places to go any longer. And look at this round of lurkers coming down. There's no high Templars here, so stacking up the lurkers no longer matters. The army's going to be wiped out in spectacular fashion as all the upgrades really start to kick in here. I think 2-2 is probably done at this point for Soma. The melee and range attacks finishing up. Finally, some Reavers popping out. I mean, I say finally, 16 minutes is actually kind of early for Reaver, but their Defilers have already been out for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, so this is a little bit late for Stork, and he's just not getting the overall efficiency that he needs to keep fighting Soma at this rate.
Right, I think the Reavers are kind of a response to how fast the Defilers have been. He realizes he's not going to have good value trades. The Dragoons are effectively useless. He needs some kind of siege unit to help break lurker lines and what have you, and add a little bit of splash. But look at these monstrous plagues. Oh my god, Soma's almost maxed out, by the way. It's absolutely crazy what he can do. He's gonna probably end up having a Sulky-esque run where he starts getting back-to-back stars pinned on his chest at this rate. Absolutely mind-blowing Zerg play.
Yeah, he's spending all of his gas so darn well. Minerals are starting to stack up a lot, but that's pretty common. He can dump those into Lings as he gets the larva available for that. Just keeps flooding this base, man. There's so many storms here to just deny this stuff, but Soma will not be denied. He will not be stopped. He's just continuing to run it down here, bringing up the flank as well. He kills the Reaver already. Dude, this level of multitasking control, the surround is insane. Absolutely outclassed. Soma is another level.
There's not much more you can say about it, saying this is like almost the pinnacle of Zerg play. It's very difficult to play much better than this. Like, obviously you could probably script an AI to maybe have better multitasking. I don't think there's a human on the planet that can keep up with this task switching ability of Soma. Stork taps out, GG is called, and a quick win on the board for the Zerg squad going forward.
Well, I wondered if Stork was going to surprise us here today and, you know, make some sort of an upset, but he functioned pretty well as a punching bag for Soma to show us his stuff. That was incredible, what Soma was able to pull off there. He was left alone. He wasn't, you know, pressured as much as maybe some other Protoss players would like to do, but I think this is a great example of what a pro Zerg can do when left alone.
Yeah, I think what's special about it is he got such a good early game lead from sniping the Corsairs, but most players wouldn't find a way of snowballing that small lead into something that spectacular, right? I think that's what makes Soma so special, is he's very good at all of these like dynamic builds and technical styles, but if you give him a tiny edge, he's very optimal at squeezing every drop of juice out of the orange and getting himself into a fantastic late game as well. A lot of people speculated that, oh, Soma's weakness is his late game. That's actually not true. Like, he's really good at finding an advantage in the early to mid game and then utilizing that to transition into a really solid late game, rather than someone like Sulky, who's like an Iron Curtain that has good build order optimizations and sets himself up for a good late game automatically. Soma's the kind of guy that finds the way of getting ahead and staying ahead.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more from him. Now going up against Royal here, Royale with Cheese in the top left-hand corner. Someone down here in the bottom left. And guys, before we get fully into this game, I just want to give you a quick reminder to make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. We're getting pretty close to 10,000 subscribers, and I want to hit that mark here relatively soon. The plan is to do a live stream once we hit that 10,000 mark. My wife and I are going to go and do a beach barbecue, and we'll hang out and answer questions and have fun, talk to you guys. So
Nice.
make sure that you're subscribed, guys. If you've been watching this channel for a while, if you've been enjoying the KCM and you're not subscribed, what are you even doing? Of course, you're going to be a fan long term, so why not just sub right now?
Yeah. And I'm curious to see what Royal is going to bring out against Soma. I would say Royal and Rush, definitely two of the better performing Terrans as of late. Might even go so far as to call it early and say they're the only two Terran hopes for ASL. Who knows though, maybe there'll be some other players rising to the occasion closer to the time, but I feel like all eyes are going to be on how Royal and Rush perform in the ASL, because I just can't see any other Terran winning it besides those two.
Yeah, I have hopes for some of the players like Speed. I really hope that he comes back and plays very well. He's been playing a lot of BGH, I've heard, and not really playing much 1v1 versus 1. He's been kind of coming back now that ASL is rolling around, but other than him and maybe Barracks, like it's hard to think of any other Terran players that are really at that level. Royal is on and off the best Terran player in the world, I feel.
Yeah, no, I think you might be spot on there. He has had a few moments where he's kind of slumped from pinnacle play. Like recently, he really surprised us with how well he was playing. Then he kind of played a little bit more back to his usual self, and then he comes back and plays really good again. I hope he can maintain some level of consistency going into ASL here. By the way, really early factory from Royal, so we will be seeing a tech-telt play, maybe some fast Valkyries or something of the like here to face off against Soma. Not the worst choice, I think. Valkyries are pretty good against Soma, although I will also say that the very best Zergs don't seem to hate playing against Valkyries at all. They seem to know it so well and actually feel kind of comfortable against that style. They'll always find a way of sniping those Valkyries with Scourge and winning the engagements. I hope for Royal's sake that's not going to be happening this game as well.
Yeah, I think the kind of trend that's emerged with Valkyrie play is like, who's the best at getting to the critical mass of Valkyrie that you just can't even approach any longer. It's like 4 to 5 Valkyries that becomes just so overwhelmingly strong that the Zergs just have to fall out of making any more mutas. And look at this. Actually, Royal's done a really good job here, Shun. He moved out with a 1 Rax into factory and forced 2 sunken colonies out of Soma after he already produced like 6 or 8 lings. That's crazy. That's a really, really nice start for Royal going into this Valkyrie play.
No, it is very good. I mean, optimally, you would only want to make 1 sunken with some Zerglings against this, and yeah, Soma's kind of bit the bullet because he's going 2.5 hatchery and just threw down the 2nd sunken, and Royal can be pretty happy about that. That's about as best of a slowdown as you can hope when you're just focusing on teching into Valkyries like this. Mutalisk's en route now. He's got 2 turrets finished up in the natural, which was the production line he prioritized. The other spots have slightly less turrets, but he knows this is the direction where the Mutalisks will be going to first. So he's done a good job of getting the defenses set up here ahead of time. There should be about three turrets now. Although Soma already set up to start one-shotting these SCVs.
Wow, I mean, Soma didn't build any Scourge. Do you think he knows that this is a Valkyrie play? He might be completely surprised by this. Seems like
I think he doesn't know.
I think he thought it was like a 2 racks. That's why he built the double sunken colony, and he didn't build Scourge. So now the Valkyrie's going to come out and make it really hard for Soma to keep this damage going.
Yeah, I think he might be a little bit suspicious that he's not seeing that much bio right this second, but you can't always pull the trigger on what the build order will be just based on how many Marines you're seeing as well. Now he sees the Valkyries, so obviously he knows, but I think you're right. I was thinking the same thing, where I don't think he's identified this build order at all, and that's going to make it a little bit trickier for him. The fact that he's got no option of sniping this Valkyrie in any way, shape, or form for the time being, like, that's going to really slow down his advance. Although he is still sniping a decent amount of SCVs, I would say this is still a pretty good game state for Soma, all things considering. But he's a little bit less optimal in dealing with it overall, and no third base on the way critically. He's doing a bit of a 2-base build. He's got the Hydra Den finished up, and yeah, he's kind of just negating going for a fast third at all right now.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see Royal push a bit further forward. Does he see the... Okay, sees Hydras. He knows there's going to be lurkers here soon. Is he just going to break off something to go check bottom right? Because there is a possibility here that Royal goes all the way down to bottom right with his whole army, and then the counterattack from Soma actually kills him, because your army's just going to be so far out of position. He goes for top right. Oh my gosh, that's a pretty sneaky play, man. He's rushing down here to bottom right. He's not going to find anything, and Soma is really pulling the wool over his eyes here.
This is really good metagaming from Soma. Like, he understands the scans are limited for the Terran right now. They're going to scan like twice to check the tech of the Zerg, but they're not going to probably scan for the expansion for quite some time. And they're going to want to save some scan just in case there was some lurkers to deal with out on the map. And now he's in trouble. The army is out of position. He runs into natural with the lurkers. This could be checkmate from Royal ahead of schedule. He is doing a good job of killing some of those lurkers. He stimmed the Marines back into the bunker to maximize his DPS potential. So he actually does kill 3 of those 5 lurkers. Probably one of the best case scenarios here for him. So I don't think he's going to die right now, but still taking quite a lot of damage from this, all things considering. But yeah, I don't think this is the worst case scenario for Royal, because had he not reacted to that and not re-stimmed the Marines back into the bunker, this would be doing a lot more.
You know what? I think this is great for Royal. Like, he's going to clear this. And the third base is just coming up. He also did a lot of damage to the Mutas. Like, the Mutas went into the main, and they got routed by these Valkyries that came up and just pushed them out. So, I mean, Soma is a long way away from Hive right now. He's not got the third gas online just yet. What, a second layer? Okay. That was a mistake, for sure. You don't need a second layer right now. He's going to start the Hive here in a minute. But there's going to be Valkyries, like 4, 5 Valkyries, something like that, plus 3 tanks, and a ton of Marines that is natural here really soon. I don't think he has the correct unit composition to deal with it.
Yeah, there is actually one very niche situation you'd want to double layers if you want to go Overlord drop in speed at the same time. He's obviously not doing that this time around. That was just a mistake. But there is sometimes a very rare scenario where you would want 2 of those. But yeah, this is not looking too bad for Royal at all. He's doing a good job of kind of skirting around Soma in the center of the map, but I still like the position for Soma. Even though this position is nowhere near as bad as it could be for Royal, the main thing going for Royal is these tanks out on the map, and the fact that the Hive is so slow, and with the Valkyries providing point defense with this push as well, Soma might be in a little bit of trouble. If he can somehow snipe these Valkyries with some Scourge, maybe that would tip the scales quite significantly, but he actually hasn't got that many pairs of Scourge. I see only 2 out on the map, 2 pairs of Scourge, and there's 3 Valkyries here, so unless he finds an optimal engagement now, to be honest though, Royal being a little bit brazen with these Valkyries just checking around the map. I would have much rather these stay with the army and kind of escort them into position.
Yeah, that's a mistake for sure, and also a mistake for him to move out. Oh man, he's gonna lose 2 of these.
Why did he shoot?
I'm not exactly sure. I guess he was going to get moving shot by the Mutas. There's not that many Mutas, though. I think he could have gotten away with at least 2 of those Valkyries.
So.
Yeah, this is a bit unfortunate. The move out with the Marines as well before the tanks were ready was a bit of a mistake, I feel. It allowed for the Lings to get some good value, and now he doesn't really have the Marine numbers that he needs to take a good fight. There's also yeah, there's something waiting here. Okay. I was going to say something was going to ambush him as he's moving over towards the top right. It looks like that still might happen. Tanks up on the high ground. Should be able to push away these Lings. Oh, there's the ambush. Does catch him going into position. Royal turns around with the vessel. He should actually send that over to this army right now. He doesn't want to lose that. Can't be losing that Valkyrie here, or that vessel here, excuse me. That vessel needs to join up with the army. 2 tanks only, and he's not making any progress. Almost buying enough time with these little cutoffs on the reinforcements that he might be able to get a Nidus up into the top right, might be able to get a Defiler out in time.
Yeah, counterattack now from Soma, making its way into the natural. He did kill those 2 lurkers in the top right pocket, so he has made some progress there, but now his natural is exposed. His multitasking going to be taxed to the absolute limit here. It's actually stopped him advancing in the top right just because he's so focused on defending back at home. Soma kind of defending by attacking right now. Finally going to get on top of unsieging those tanks and pressing the issue in that top right, but it might be a little bit too late. We already see some reinforcements from Soma making their way downtown up there now. Bunch of Lings as well as a lurker gonna help try and tip the scales up here to clean out this force. It looks like it's just barely enough to overwhelm that position, and he's completely breached the natural. No mining there right now as well. Pretty masterclass from Soma in both of these games. He looked like he was in a bit of a precarious situation, and he's navigated it almost flawlessly.
Yeah, this wasn't the best start from Soma, but he's absolutely cleaning him up now, getting rid of Royal here, dispatching of him as he tries to clear out these last few Lings and Lurkers with Firebats. We're going to see a tap out. That's just kind of surprising to see Royal make those mistakes, man. I thought he was playing a little bit better than that. Maybe he got a little nervous knowing that he had a bit of a moment there to potentially kill off Soma. And, you know, kind of, that can kind of happen when you're playing against somebody like an ASL champion, like a Flash or something like that. Players tend to make more mistakes, but I'm a little bit surprised to see it from Royal here today. He is going to lose this game as Soma just runs it down, starting to kill all these vessels now, and GG is called. There it is. Soma takes game number 2. Again, Soma runs away with the game after his opponent makes a couple of mistakes. Doesn't take much, Shun, and Soma will roll away with it. He'll run away with the game in no time flat. Now he's here against the GOAT himself, Shuttle, spawning in the top, or in the bottom right, excuse me.
Yeah, Soma's a much more aggressive player than someone like Zerg. He's not going to sit back and wait for you to make mistakes. He's going to find ways of forcing the mistakes, create his own opportunities of attack one way or another, no matter what the game state is. That's what makes him such a deadly player, man. He's so proactive in what he does. A little bit worried for Shuttle going forward. I mean, Soma's pretty warmed up now after slapping down Stork and Royal in those fashions. But it is what it is. I really do feel like the catalyst of what went wrong there for Royal was predominantly the roaming from the Valkyries, and then when he was retreating from the Mutas, turning to shoot rather than just running to the safety of the Marines. That completely negated his point defense to prevent an ambush from happening. The army in the top right would have been much scarier, had an easier chance of breaking through the line, and then he has a more comeback potential from recovering from the breach in the natural after he's killed that base in the top right. But I guess it is what it is. We'll get on with this game now.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake in my mind was going out with the Marines and losing them before having the tanks ready. You lose that Marine camp, you just don't have the support for the tanks. He should have been able to see that he had a good timing there. The Hive was not going to finish in time, so if you just have a few tanks, 3 tanks with a really strong supporting force of Marines and you know, a few Valkyries, it's so hard to beat without Defiler. It's so difficult to beat, and he just allowed himself to get spread out, split up, and pulled apart. Now Soma chasing this probe around inside the main. He's gonna try to dispatch this as quickly as possible so he can get up to his old shenanigans, try to trick Shuttle with, you know, his traditional style, probably just the straight up Spire plus Hydralisk play that he's so well known for.
Yeah, he has taken a slightly early gas this time. Makes me think that he's maybe thinking about Ling speed early as well, to go along with that layer to make it even harder for Shuttle to get any scouting information necessary. And I guess he's being slightly greedy in taking the 12 o'clock early as well, so maybe he wants speedlings to, you know, better deal with the longer distance, having to defend those two separated positions. That would make a lot of sense to me. You're getting value denying the scout, and you're setting yourself up nicely for helping or deflect any kind of shenanigans. But actually, no. He's going to be doing something completely different and throwing down a Hydra Den right off the bat. So he wants to do a 973, and I don't think Shuttle will expect this. I think because he knows that Soma has likely taken this base at 12 o'clock, I think the one thing he's not expecting is a 973.
Yeah, that's a very far rush distance for sure, for any Hydras coming down from 12 o'clock to try and get over here and break this position. But if Shuttle doesn't expect it, doesn't really matter how long it takes these Hydras to get down here. He's just going to take out this cannon and end Shuttle with the Hydras coming from main and natural. We'll see if Shuttle is able to get out here and find something. If he's able to kind of sniff this out, maybe, you know, throw down a backup cannon, put down that second cannon. Of course, you have to get that second cannon. But if he makes a third cannon and waits to cancel it until the danger is passed, then there's a potential for him to hold this.
Yeah, that's how I've always advised people playing Protoss versus Zerg. If you're not sure, just hedge your bets, make the cannon, then cancel it at the last second. It's kind of how you have to play to cover both situations when you've got imperfect information like this. This is where Protoss is most stressed out, when you just have no scouting information in the early game at all. You can't really min-max your build in any way, shape, or form without taking massive gambles. And one of the ways Protoss have a strong mid-game is by, you know, scouting what the Zerg is doing and optimizing their build relative to that. Soma being a little bit cheeky, actually. He's getting a 9-7-3-4 ahead of time. Like, he's throwing down the macro hatchery before even attacking with the Hydras. So he also is setting himself up for a very strong transition point after the fact.
And he's building drones over here, so I think this might be a fake out.
Yeah,
he's gonna come over with the Hydras at the timing for 973, but it's gonna be less Hydras, and there's also drones popping up from that third hatchery. So rather than rallying from the long distance, he's actually just gonna set up more drones and try to force a big reaction here from Shuttle, while killing maybe the gateway, maybe the forge as well. I mean, he has to kill this cannon at the bottom if he wants to kill the forge. He may just try to go for that so that he can get the forge, stop this upgrade, and give himself a really nice spot. Yeah, he's going for it. He's going for it. Look at that. Pulls back.
There we go.
Now he can immediately target down this forge, and he shouldn't be able to get ranged down here by the cannons.
Yeah, pretty nice hit play from Soma all around. Shuttle knows it now as well. The Corsair sees the macro hatcheries going down. He sees the fourth base. Going to be seeing the lair on the way in the main now as well. So he knows this is a fake, but kind of a little bit too late. There's not really anything he can do about it. He's going to, you know, remake double forges in his main and try and catch up on the upgrades eventually. But Soma's already kind of done what he set out to do. He's cancelled the upgrade timing, and he's put on a lot of pressure onto Shuttle, forced out some cannons, and he has a very strong transition point. How quick that fourth is insane, and the fact that he droned it ahead of time, he's going to have one of the most powerful economies possible, especially considering he's been aggressive in the early game on top of it.
Yeah, this transition is going to be super smooth. Like you said, he's kind of front-loaded the transition, setting it up beforehand so that it can be as smooth as really possible after this type of aggressive play. Shuttle's going to be scrambling here to try and put something together, and there's going to be a massive number of Hydras coming out of Soma. He may even go into Spire here as well, because there's only been one Corsair so far, and we don't see a Dark Archon. Yeah, he might get completely blindsided by this and totally torn apart. Like, I feel like if you don't build a Dark Archon against Soma, you're played yourself. Seriously.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. He's so good at utilizing Mutalisks, generally speaking, in pretty much all three matchups. But yeah, this is going to be scary from Soma, man. And I think you're right. I think he's lined up to doing a Hydra Muta style pretty well. He's taking both gases now at the natural and that third base at 12 as on top of it. So yeah, I think a Hydra Muta style would be pretty optimal going forward. I feel like lurkers are a little bit lackluster, especially when you've already got a great game state like this. I feel like just, yeah, making 10 mutas or so and then predominantly Hydras, I think that's more than enough. That's kind of what True likes to do a lot of the time, BTS, but I feel like Soma could probably execute it far better than True ever could.
I don't see a Spire just yet. I think there might be some. It might be set down inside the main base right now. There it is. Oh no, that's an evolution.
Oh no.
Okay. Double Evo. Interesting. So we may actually see lurkers here, Shun. That's surprising.
We will. I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, a lot of Hydras, double upgrades, and lurkers are coming forward here. Really, I think Soma can play basically however he wants against Shuttle, and he should be favored to win. But you can't be too gung ho. You can't be too crazy. Shuttle still is a pretty strong player when it comes to PvZ, and he sometimes surprises us with his play. There, he made a Dark Archon. There you go. So he expects it.
And he's not going mutas.
He's not going mutas, yeah. It's fine. You can still get some value out of this. You can throw down a Maelstrom on like an aggressive clump of lurkers running forward and get a really good trade, or even just some Hydras that are trying to snipe a High Templar or something like that can be pretty strong, but definitely not what he was looking for, and Soma is already so big, he's matched in supply. He's just going to start exploding as well as lurkers start to come online.
I feel like this is some really high-level metagaming from Soma. Like, he knows that Shuttle will be thinking, what's the strongest thing against me right now? Probably a Muta transition, so forces the DA, but he's not even going to go for Mutas. Kind of insane. And he's going to be racing ahead into Hive off of these 4 bases as well. Soma always finds a way of having his cake and eats it. Taking a 5th base at 10 minutes, saying, like, what can't this man do? He plays Zerg so differently to everyone else. Definitely very quickly capturing a place in my heart as one of the greatest Zergs of all time at this rate.
Yeah, he's looking super, super good, and those double upgrades are really going to start kicking in here shortly. May even go into triple upgrade. As this Hive comes online, you know he's going to start spamming out Lings like crazy. His economy is through the roof. His lurkers are finally coming online here. And we may even see drop. We might see drop play come into this game, because Soma still hasn't thrown down a Spire, and drop can be really powerful with this style of play. Like, if the Protoss is pushing out and you just drop into their main base, like, you buy so much time while they're trying to clear it up, and then you can just macro out an entirely new army to fight whatever comes out to face you after that.
And I don't even think he needs to do a full main drop. Like, even just like a couple of lurker drops in the natural and main to hit the mineral lines, I think even that would be more than enough to really disrupt the game plan of Shuttle, cripple the economy, and force a turnaround potentially as well. Like, there's so many options for Soma to play a great game here, no matter what. It's kind of his game to lose at this point. Shell has managed to amass a decently sized army, so he has a fighting chance still. Protoss always has that comeback potential in PvZ off 2 bases. You see Best pull that out of the bag more often than not. Shuttle not quite up to the same standard, but he might still have a little bit of a hope here of trying to run over Soma before he's fully set up with this high play. Soma's army currently out of position, and Shuttle about to be knocking on the door. It's probably one of the best chances Shuttle has of coming back in the game, but the lurker spread is pretty good, and the army in hot pursuit now, setting up a big pincer maneuver.
This pincer is going to be scary. Shuttle sees it coming. Mostly Hydralisk. He's got a lot of Storm here. There's been no snipes this game, so these Templars should have full energy ready and available. Immediately going to take the base at the center right. It's no longer covered by this army. That's a pretty decent Maelstrom there. He should follow that up with a nice Storm. Kill all of these Hydras. Pretty decent combo there, and making some good use of that Dark Archon despite not going up against Mutas this game.
Yeah, this is some good army movement from Shuttle to identify the tactics of Soma and avoid them and also trade well. Does seem like the third is a little bit exposed at the 3 o'clock here. Going to be forcing a cancel. That's a little bit suboptimal for Shuttle, but he has traded reasonably well. He's actually turned the tables a little bit in terms of supply. Soma was looking even on supply for quite a while now. Now Shuttle kind of evening out that differential just a little bit. He's now about 20 or so supply ahead of Soma, closer to where he should be. And this little Zealot being annoying in the top left, very close to killing that Nidus Canal just before the Zerglings come in to clean up. I think he actually might kill that Nidus Canal just barely. And that's a nice little pickup if he can get that. Now pressing the issue on this mineral-only 4th base of Soma. Has got quite a sizable army, and Soma's not quite set up with that Defiler tech just yet. This is a very strong timing from Shuttle. Let's see if he can run it down at the moment. There is a little small force from Soma looking to wrap around from behind to combat this, and it is predominantly just Dragoons now. All the Zealots dried up. So, good effort from the Shuttle, but I think Soma will barely stabilize.
Yeah, those Zealots really did evaporate as they came up that ramp. He even stormed his own Zealots as well to soften them up a little bit more. Here comes a rally of Zealots behind this. This is a pretty good reinforcement train. The Dragoons have gone down to a bit of a critical number here. Can he actually push forward? Might have a feedback for this Defiler if it actually starts to consume anything. It probably has 50 energy for that. Another round of Zealots coming forward. There's a High Templar here too. He does the consume. Immediate feedback. Oh, he doesn't quite get it. He doesn't quite get it in time. So this Dark Swarm might just save Soma's life here. 1 Archon, no Storms for this attack, and Soma will drive everything back.
That's a big shame, man. I feel like if he had feedbacked that Defiler there, I don't think he just wins the game outright, but I think he trades well enough that he's got a much better chance in this game after having his 3rd base cancelled on him like that. So now I feel like Shuttle's going to be up against it. The Zerg's going to get their Defiler tech out, be churning out plagues before long, and I think the writing will be on the wall for Shuttle going forward, especially with that base in the top left undeterred. That was Shuttle's one hope of coming back into the game by trading well, maybe even killing some of the drones at that base or killing the hatchery outright as well after trading good. Now I feel like he's back up against the ropes and will be feeling the pain.
It's a scary moment here for Shuttle as he tries to take his 3rd base now at 15 minutes. He's running dry very quickly. There's a nice feedback, finally getting some use out of that feedback spell. It's one of the most underused spells in this matchup. Storms coming out here. Templar, can he get a couple of Storms off? These High Templar are being targeted. One of them goes down with no Storm being cast. Another one falls as well. This is not quite what Shuttle needs at the moment to try and shove back Soma, who's now eclipsing him in supply. Double expansion here for Shuttle has a very low chance of hanging on as Soma really, starts to put the pressure on here. He's going to begin wrapping around with all of these Lings and Hydras, and his upgrades are starting to churn for real now.
Yeah, I mean, Shuttle's making the right moves. He's trying to take a quick 4th behind this and just consolidate his position and hang on, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Soma is churning away. He's got 2-2 on his Hydra Lurker, and he's got 2-1 on the groundlings as well. Plague is just about to be online on top of it, or he might be going for a Plague. Now there's the Plague. I was expecting it any second. Oh my gosh, man. And he's barely even committing any forces to the front line. Like, he's way ahead in supply, 40 supply over Shuttle, but he's only committing a few forces at a time and then will gather for a big attack. But Shuttle doesn't even let it get to that point. He just taps out. I think that's a rightful GG timing. I don't think he had pretty much any hope of winning that game unless unless Soma were to make some huge blunders, and that would be very uncharacteristic of Soma. So now we're going to be seeing the pain train of Soma continue now, as he'll face off against a Terran. Either Light or Rush coming up next.
The goat is dead. Long live the goat. It's just a joke, guys. I know that Shuttle isn't the goat, but he talks so highly of himself being the first ever ASL champion. You know, it's a big title to hold. It's honestly, it's a lot more fun to make excuses for Shuttle and why he didn't win than to, criticize his play. Occasionally, he does pull out some pretty insane victories, though. We've seen it here and there. Most notably, recently, he pulled out an amazing win. Clutch for a pro league that he was involved in, where he has like something ridiculously low win rate, but somehow manages to win an outsized number of pro leagues overall.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking. I really wish like a statistician would like study Shuttle and his participation versus success. Like, it's kind of insane how little he wins and how much he wins overall. But it's kind of crazy, honestly. I don't know how he does it. The guy is like secretly a genius when it comes to like optimizing his social status or something. I don't know. He needs to be studied. Can we get someone doing a PhD in Shuttle? I think it's warranted at this point, Sam.
He is a character, that's for sure. We watched on stream recently. I was looking through his streams because he does 24-hour streams, Shun, where like he'll leave the stream on all day with like 11 or 12 hours of just like intro screen, and then like him eating, and then another intro screen, and then him playing a little bit of games, and then another intro screen. And one time we were looking for the pro league in his stream, and I saw him sleeping on stream, just on the floor, just straight up on the floor in the middle of the room with a pillow and a blanket. It was so crazy.
Dear.
Just what a character, man. What a character. Anyways, we got Light versus Soma here. This should be a great game on match point.
Yeah, this should be a fun one, I imagine. Curious to see if Light's gonna do anything fancy. I mean, you can go pretty tech-centric on match point, but it looks like he's not doing that. Just gonna be a bit more of an orthodox Rax expansion from him with a forward wall in. That's about the only thing that's slightly suboptimal considering the old days. Once upon a time, Terrans weren't walling in at this point of the map. They would be more likely to wall in the choke between the main and the natural, unless you were going like a bunker into mech or something. So this is a bit more of a modern adaptation that we've seen from the meta, because pretty much every Terran started walling in the natural at some point a few years ago. And so it's curious to me how these old maps are now played on with the modern meta in mind. There's so many more dynamic ranges that we see on the maps than I used to. So I'm always curious to keep a close eye on the players and how they try and optimize when this used to be such a thought out map, but now because of how the meta is shifted from the time it was like 17 years or something, I think 16-17 years ago this map was being played regularly. If you watch the TV series Old Boy, where now Ra was switching from being a commentator back into trying to be a pro gamer again, this is when match point was being played, so that's a very long time ago.
Yeah, it's been around for an incredibly long time. I think the reason... Okay, he's actually going to dive here. I wasn't sure if he was going to go in or not, so I was going to go into a tangent, but he's diving on top. He kills one Marine, Shun. Unreal. Great control there from Light. Pulling back just at the right time. Almost gets the second one there, but manages to hold. And that means that this timing could actually be really scary. He's gone 2 racks straight into an academy. He's going to have stim pretty early on and force quite a few sunken here from Soma to try and defend this front.
Yeah, well, quickly go on your tangent again. I'm curious what you had to say.
I was going to say that I think the downfall of that type of player, the rise of the wall-in, the Terran wall-in, coincided with the downfall of lurker play. Like, lurker play has gone out the window.
Yes,
it's no longer a thing. Maybe we'll see it come back around at some point in the future if something new gets discovered, but it's pretty much accepted now that lurker play openers are they're just not good. Generally speaking,
not good.
They're just not good against modern Terran players. So there's not that fear anymore that you're just going to lose your wall in and it's going to be a problem for you later on.
Yeah, what Sayan's talking about is not only are you basically conceding supply depots for free against the lurkers, so you're going to be supply blocked, you also have less space to make bunkers to defend against the lurkers, because you usually need at least 3 bunkers to be safe against that. And if they do a delayed lurker bust where they kind of contain you and make up to like 12 lurkers, you actually need 5 bunkers to defend against that. And if you've got a wall in, good luck trying to fit 5 bunkers in a good enough configuration where lurkers can't hit 2 or 3 bunkers at the same time. We just don't see that lurker play anymore because of how good Terrans are at stimming their marines and dodging around and killing the lurkers before they finish borrowing and what have you. So yeah, it's kind of fell out of fashion, and now we see Terrans optimizing their builds even more. And I think they kind of need to, though. Zergs have gotten so good as well with their Mutalist control and build order optimizations that Terrans kind of had to go to the lab and think of any way possible at squeezing out more horsepower from their macro engine. And it has paid off greatly for them.
Look at this. Light not able to move out and force sunken colonies here against Soma. That's kind of crazy because he threw away all of his lings for 1 marine, and Light was doing it 2 racks. I really thought he was going to be able to move across the map and at least force those sunken colonies, but Soma with 2 lings did a little run by and convinced Light to turn around. That's kind of shocking to me. He's going to try and run by again here. There's 2 gaps in the wall, so it's a little bit easier to run by, a little harder to hold that off. Light has a very big force right now. I don't know if Soma can just wipe this out, and not with the number of mutas and lings he's put together here so far. This is a lot of medics and a lot of marines, and it's barreling down towards bottom right, which is a real problem for Soma.
I mean, Soma's taken some liberties. Have you noticed how quickly he's taken this mineral only with a 4th base? Like, this is super greedy from Soma. About as greedy as you can get without being suicidal. And he's actually split off 2 marines to come down here and hit the base in the top right and keep the attention of Soma on the main bioforce in the center. So he's going to pick up a few drones and be super annoying. Now the mutas are hooing and harring a little bit. Do we keep tracking the bio ball, or do we go back and clean that up down in the bottom right? And he's just elected to abandon hope for the time being and keep the pressure on these bio units in the center. But that does mean that the drones have fallen a little bit in the bottom right. He had to run away some of the drones that are popping out of the eggs. I think Light killed one of those drones in transit as well, maybe even 2 of the 3. So this is looking really good for Light, and because Soma's been so greedy taking this early 4th base, there is a very strong timing for Light to punish this now.
Yeah, Light's looking really scary, and Soma's completely supply blocked. Here comes the starport transition. Finally, we'll clear out these marines in bottom right, but it's taking a lot of damage. Slow down on that 3rd gas is not insignificant. Soma here, kind of desperate to throw something together to actually defend this marine ball, and I don't know if he can actually do it. He hasn't been able to shave down this ball very much, and the army is not that big right now for Soma. Light's really controlled this well, and he's got +1 done. Now he's pushing in. Another Overlord goes down. He may just fall apart right here, right now, Shun.
Yeah, if he loses this Overlord, I think he might be dead. The fact that he's supply blocked and can't even build much more to defend against this, I think is... Oh, he loses another Overlord. Oh my gosh. Soma in a little bit of disarray right now. He kind of needs to hold on to this base that he took super early, and it's not looking like he can. It looks like Light will be able to punish potentially both of these mining bases, the mineral only, and also this bottom right base. He's got a small contingency heading down there to finish off that hatchery that he already lowered. Soma doing a good job of shaving down that bioforce finally, but here come those 3 marines in the bottom right. Just as Soma clears out the majority of his bio, there's another squad of marines to join with those medics once more and keep the pressure on while these 3 marines are going to town on that hatchery. Soma desperately trying to save that base in the bottom right. He might just barely save it. This is actually kind of clutch. If Soma can somehow keep these hatcheries alive despite all the craziness that's happened in this game, who knows? Maybe Soma can stabilize. He did manage to clear up that initial bioforce. That's taken the wind out of Light's sails ever so slightly.
Man, this is such a tight hold. Still, Soma hasn't been mining that third gas at all this whole game. He's never had a chance to really get some drones into that geyser there. And like, there's another group of 3 Marines heading down towards that base, dude. He's gonna deny it again. Soma might wipe this army. Like, he's gonna get close. 26 HP. Oh wow, I really wanted to see how much life was left on that, but we can see it was very close to going down. And Soma allows these Marines to slip by. That's a huge error, and that is probably going to cost them this game.
Yeah, I think now Soma will have a very tough time against it. Vessels are just now popping out for Light as well. There's the vessels on screen. He has cleared out this Bioforce once again, but like you said, saying about that third gas, he's having a tough time. But Soma is getting on top of the Bioforce right now. Maybe there's a tiny tempo play he can make just before the irradiates are finished. Who knows? Maybe he can get in here and do some critical damage and try and even out the scales. It doesn't look like that's going to be possible. There are irradiates available to Soma. He'd have to split these Mutalisks perfectly against the first 2 irradiates to actually translate this into a tempo victory. It is technically possible, though. He is doing a lot of damage to Light, having a little bit of a hard time stabilizing it, as he has got the irradiates, but he's worried about wasting them and Soma splitting perfectly. And now we have Scourge in the equation as well.
Ooh, that irradiate. Oh my gosh,
GG.
it did so much damage. Oh, GG. He does have to tap out. Man, if he had saved that base in the bottom right, this would have been a super cool game. But Light manages to sneak a little tiny task force to bottom right to shave off those last few points of HP. And Soma has been taken out finally. He's done a lot of heavy lifting. It's time for the rest of the Zerg squad to try and come in here and clean up for him. All right, Light versus Best is next. I'm excited for this one, Shun. Best has been playing absolutely out of his mind. He's been making me so excited for his run this season in ASL, and we're going to get to see firsthand what he can do here against Light.
And he absolutely crushed it in the ASL Open tournament, by the way, guys. Most of those games, pretty much all of them except the finals, were best of 1. You have to be such a solid player to survive a trial by fire of a flood of best of 1s against up-and-coming players, as well as other pro gamers like Queen and Soma and Snow and all the others. So yeah, really stellar stuff from Best. He looks in pretty fantastic condition overall. He's been in fantastic condition for a very long time. I can't even remember a time where Best wasn't one of the better Protoss players in the scene, which I think we have to give him credit for. There's plenty of these other guys that have, you know, had their time in the sun way back when and kind of fallen out of fashion. Best is like one of the only exceptions to that rule. He's always been a top Protoss player for the better part of 20 years. You kind of have to respect it.
The ever-elusive ASL championship, though, man. I mean, you gotta get that championship if you want to secure that legacy, and I'm sure Best, I mean, he's got to be eyeing that up this season. Last season was a bit of a disappointment, of course. Doing fairly well, but once again falling short. We're going to see some fireworks in this game, I'm sure. Neosylphid is a lot of fun. It's a map that a lot of people are happy to see back in the map pool. It's a map that's been around for an incredibly long time. And it's a map that we're all familiar with and have learned to love over the years.
Yeah, I think it's one of the more balanced 3-player maps we've had in the history of StarCraft overall. I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty interesting, especially with the false high ground, low yield expansion as an actual third. It creates some interesting play.
What do you say?
Bunker expand.
Dominator or Neosylphid? What's your favorite?
Oh, I think I do like Dominator, but it's less balanced than Sylphid. How about that?
Okay. Yeah, Dominator is... I actually don't mind Dominator over Sylphid. I think it's maybe a better map, but I might be biased because I don't really like playing the same map over and over again for too long. I think that it was a bit fresh. Dominator still feels fresh in comparison to this, even though it's been played so much last season.
Yeah, stylistically, I think Dominator is more fresh and more interesting, but overall, I think Sylphid's a better map for ASL, is basically what I'll say. It's just a better map in terms of balance. It is less fun of a map than Dominator, but I really do feel like it's well-shaped, I guess is what I would say. I think that pretty much all of the matchups pretty even across the board, and actually one of the only maps where Protoss has a slight edge against Zerg, so I think that will be good for a lot of our Protoss hopes that we'll be looking towards in the next coming season.
Yeah, there's quite a few Protoss hopefuls. I think a lot of people are excited for Bisu as well. He's been playing absolutely out of his mind, in addition to these other guys, Best and Snow have been looking towards that, and Mini's been looking towards that championship. Mini, once again, I mean, he's already got one under his belt, but
True.
especially Bisu and Best are super thirsty for a bit of that recognition by taking the ASL championship. And we're already seeing a third base here from Best. My gosh, this is a really fast third base, and this is a bit dangerous from Best, and especially since Lighty's going to scout this right now. He knows exactly what's been done by Best, and he may have an opportunity to punish. He's already got 2 factories. 3 factory play has been really popular recently. I don't know if he has the armory down already or not, but he might want to throw down a 3rd factory and try to really put on some pressure here.
Well, it was a bunker expand, so because Best opened up very mid-range, I think you've got 2 choices to make. Do you get greedy as well, or do you try and punish the greed by maybe going for like a proxy Robo Reaver? And I think Best is such a macro Protoss that he's more likely to be greedy himself in response to something like this, so I think this makes a lot of sense. And because it is bunker expand, obviously the timings of those factories is going to be a little bit slower than usual, so I think the chance of Light punishing this is a little bit slim. I feel like Best will navigate this to being an advantageous position almost no matter what Light does.
I think he's completely nullified the advantage that Light got from going bunker expansion just by doing this. This is such a quick third base, man. You're really light on units here early, and it's not even going to matter. Best now has 4 gateways. He's going to be pumping out 4 Dragoons at a time. Has that, or will have that observer. This push is on its way, but you know, I don't think he can really do anything, man. 3 tanks.
He can't.
He might get siege mode here. He might try to get siege mode potentially and try to push. He can set up a bunker maybe on the high ground, and or on the the false high ground there. Try to push in with some tanks to the natural. There's nothing here to hit. You have to hit the Nexus. 2 more tanks come out.
Well,
I don't know, man. Can he actually do anything with this push?
He could do a 5-tank push and try and do something with it and hope that Best is out of position, but the problem is that Best is a genius. He's got the observer in the path or the tack, so he actually spots the move out, so his Dragoons won't be out of position to deal with it. And this is a false high ground as well, so it's easier for Best to come up here and combat this and try and maybe snipe off a tank or 2 right ahead of schedule. Almost gets the 2nd, doesn't quite get the connection on that 2nd tank, finally does get it and a 3rd, but does have to commit fully with his goons to do so. He kind of slightly botched the execution there, so now Light does still have a glimmer of hope as he sets up some siege tanks in forward positions. Still though, this is going to be a relatively easy hold from Best, as long as he doesn't make any further mistakes getting on top of these tanks. So there's only 2 tanks in total, now 1 falling. So yeah, I still think this is going to be a nice hold from Best. There was a tiny chance there for Light to do something, but unfortunately Best is just metagaming Light so far.
Yeah, the 4 gateway play turned out to be perfect. There's just not quite enough units here. I mean, the Marines are doing a great job adding on DPS and kind of body blocking these Dragoons as they try to jump on top of the tanks. I think that was a big factor as he tried to jump on top of the tanks earlier with the initial fight, but this is just not working out well for Light. He's lost so many tanks. He's up to 4 factories now, but you kind of need to go for the 4 factory all at once, I think. I'm not an expert in this matchup. What do you think that Light maybe could have done differently to try try and break Best here. It seems breakable when the Protoss goes for this early of a third.
It is probably breakable. I feel like you just have to have perfect micro to make it work. He could have waited for a 7-tank push, but then it feels too slow. I don't think there's an easy answer. Even though there's a chance of punishing it, I think the odds are still stacked in Best's favor, really, no matter what Light does. I guess he could have not gone for anything and tried to go straight up into 5 factories or maybe even 6 factories and do a delayed push right when Best was trying to take his 4th base. Maybe that would have been okay, but I don't think either way it would have been optimal for Light. He was kind of rolling the dice there and hoping Best would be out of position, but Best had an observer to check for that move out timing at the perfect opportunity. And yeah, just shuts it down flawlessly. He did kind of bungle the engagement though. Like, I feel like Best could have cleaned that up much more efficiently, but Light had a little bit of a glimmer of hope there. If he just somehow forced another mistake out of Best in his positioning or something, or the way that micro engagement went, if he could somehow find that again, maybe there was hope of punishing it, but unfortunately not. I think Best is just too good of a player, and he's had so much experience against Light in particular. These two guys know each other inside and out, and I can really see that reflected in the decision making. It's almost like Best has got Light's number and knows how to counter most of his traditional plays.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe early siege mode would have done a little bit better there. You're not going to have zealots to deal with that. Just pure Dragoon. They clump up so much on top of each other, and that splash damage can be such a game changer. Anyways, no more metagaming here, or no more theory crafting here. The drop is on the way in the main base. He's going to kill this turret. Oh, he saves it with the repair. Gonna lose a couple of SCVs, but he keeps it alive for a very long time. Oh my gosh, still alive. Still has that turret up, and he actually will push this out. Loses about 5 SCVs somewhere around there and a tank, but manages to prevent the Reaver from doing any serious damage, and has already taken that third. So Light's response to that push not working, immediate third. Best response, immediate 4th, and so we're kind of in a similar situation here where it's just greed on greed, and both players just getting a massive economy as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it looks like Light powering up to about 8 factories worth or 7 factories, excuse me, which is pretty standard in the modern meta. You take a 3rd base and go straight up to 7 factories. Terrans used to try and be greedy and take, like, you know, a 4th base off of like 5 or 6 factories, and they realized that's just not doable. Like, you kind of got to go 7 factories as soon as you hit the 3 base setup these days. It was good play from Light. He kept the turret alive long enough to take the Reaver down to about half HP. He's going to try and go in and punish that Reaver now, and he actually does pick up the kill on that Reaver that was softened up in the main base, so not terrible here from Light. All things considering, this is about as good as it gets after blowing that first timing push, I would say. And it is Best, not Snow, after all, so he won't be getting as much value out of these Reavers, so maybe there is still a chance here for Light to find a timing attack. He's going to, for now, just, you know, be proactive with some vultures on the map and slow down Best from trying to set up a second rally point, so that's something.
Yeah, as long as he prevents Best from getting up into this top center, I think it's definitely a playable position. As soon as Best starts to set up that other base there in the top center, as soon as he starts to set up a bunch of gateways over there, it starts to get a little dangerous for Light. So Light's going to start to push forward, looking to force some engages here over as he moves towards Best base. He may just want to take the bottom center, but there's already storms available. We may be seeing some storm drops here. Maybe he's just going to try to dive on this army as it comes forward for Light.
Yeah, one of those shuttles is pretty low as well. Like, there's definitely a way that Light can translate this into a victory going forward. He's added on the 8th factory as well, which makes me think he is going to commit quite heavily into like a very strong 1-1 timing attack when all said and done. And he did delay that base in the top center from being set up. I think there's a few cannons that have gone up there or pylon wall, but not much else. So Light's kind of done the heavy lifting to begin with. Now he's not going to be on as much of a tight clock. He can kind of tentatively push out on the map, and maybe, who knows, can snipe a shuttle or two to prevent. Oh, this is actually really good for Light. He does almost kill that shuttle before the Reaver gets out, and the Reaver was already low HP, so it's not even going to trade well overall. And now Light, probably in one of the better case scenarios after failing that initial timing attack, best looking to see if he can tip those scales back in his favor once more, coming into this false high ground expansion now with a couple of shuttles, tons of Dragoons, and some Zealots to buffer. I don't think this attack is going to be seriously successful. It looks like there's far too much here for Light. A few storms do blanket the units in the front as well as to the side there on the low ground, but I don't think this is going to be a good enough attack for Best. He's not going to kill the expansion. All he can really hope for is to trade off some of the tanks and slow down the advance of Light from moving out is the main aim of the game.
Yeah, he's just kind of slowing him down a little bit, but still hasn't gotten a probe to top center. That's a problem, and Best really needs to either send a probe up there or maybe ferry one up with a shuttle. Look at this. Ooh. Again denied.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, this actually might be a route for Light to end up winning this game, and sniping Knight Templar as well. Dude.
Oh yeah.
Light is really playing well here. He will eat some damage, and he might actually end up losing the CC now. He hasn't moved enough forces over here to the false high ground to actually defend this base, and so Best could secure a bit of a win here. Getting this command center would be huge.
No, it's
One
so
tank
low.
firing only. 100
low.
HP, 40 HP. He gets it. He finishes it off. Best will back up, and now getting a probe over towards that top center as well.
Man, like, just when you think Light is out of the woods, Best puts him back in there without a map, but Light does have a strong timing attack. Like, he's taken this base at the 6 o'clock, so he kind of compensates for losing that third, and maybe now there's a tempo timing after clearing out that army of Best where he can get a lot of damage done. Best only just now starting to set up a base in that top center position, and there isn't that much force of Best out on the map. He almost loses a shuttle as well, and after clearing out those Templars, there's not a lot of meat on the bone for Best to utilize to stop this Terran advance. And look how tentative Light is being, pre-splitting the majority of his tanks, although he's forced to clump his tanks now to deal with this. Does target down the shuttles and prevent all of the Zealot bombs can come online, but Best still looks like he's going to clear out all of this force. Best always finds a way of bowling over Terran positions again and again. He's like the great ape of Protoss, man. Like, he is quite literally an ape Protoss in his style, but he does it better than everyone else, and he's got a more stronger mechanics and macro fundamentals behind the ape style of Protoss that he is so good at executing. I feel really bad for Light, because there was every opportunity to punish Best, and I feel if that was Snow or someone else, maybe even Mini, I don't think they would have that much stuff to easily defend an attack like that, but Best somehow does.
Yeah, that long line of Zealots just conga into the Terran army every single time the Terran thinks they're about to hold another round of Zealots makes its way in. It's kind of spectacular what he can do in this matchup, and is continuing to upgrade here as he pumps out double shuttle from those two robos. Light's last kind of ditch effort here is to try and take bottom left. If he can hold that, maybe there's a route back in for him, but this army is way outsized for what Light can deal with. Yeah. There are so many Zealots and Dragoons pouring in, and the writing is on the wall here. Despite trading well and despite having a very nice setup before the fight, there's just so many Dragoons left over here. After the Zealots have dried up, he can still keep running forward, does not have to retreat, and can open up a position for that next conga line of Zealots to just break through. Here they come now.
Yeah, the lead is about to fall for our Terran player now. There's just too much for Best, man. Quite literally the best macro Protoss on the planet. Absolutely insane. And you can't fault him for it. Like, one of the criticisms for some Protoss players is how gimmicky they are and cheesy. Best is not one of those guys. He's just better at the fundamentals of Protoss than any other gamer on the planet. And you have to respect him for it. GG is called. Light taps out. Best, the last remaining hope for Protoss this week. The team captain, alongside the lower tier players of Stalk and Shuttle, will be facing off now against either Queen or Jaedong, coming up next.
Queen has been chosen for this set number 6, spawning here in the top left-hand corner of Attitude. That's over here in the bottom left. Queen has been showing a pretty good level recently as well, man. I mean, so many players are, of course, whipping themselves into shape here for the ASL season.
Yeah, it's no surprise. I mean, some players train quite hard year-round, depending on their mindset. Some people are like grinders, where they'll train all year round, but some of these guys only really turn it on for the months surrounding ASL. So you'll sometimes notice them play a little bit mediocre for the off-season, and then as soon as ASL is like a month down the road, suddenly they play so good because they're actually pouring in 100% of their effort yet again to their overall gameplay. And it's not even about the money, which is so funny. It's like there's much more money in streaming and Pro League than there is ASL. It's just the prestige of it, right? Like, it's the most prominent event that we've got in StarCraft history, and they don't really do it for the money. They quite literally do it for the accolades and the pride and the goals and accomplishments alone, and nothing else. Like, you don't really stand to gain much from the ASL except like bragging rights and feeling good about your performance and achieving your dreams. Like, a lot of these pro gamers, all they wanted to do when they started playing professional StarCraft was essentially get a title like the ASL under their belt, and most of them have been unsuccessful because of how tough of a tournament it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like maybe the Olympics in that regard, right? Like, they don't really make that much money going for the Olympics.
Right.
They kind of do it just for the love of the game. For the love of their country. Oh my gosh, he's gonna get this around. Beautifully done here by Queen. Gets this around on this Zealot. Will kill a probe as well. Might try to run by. Doesn't look like he can get in there. But might be able to put some more pressure onto the gateway. Maybe even the pylon as well. Wait for this next Zealot to pop out and threaten the run by. Once you lose that first Zealot, man, it really starts to get out of control.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting it, but it was a good move by Queen.
I think it was a bit of a mistake from Queen to start to chase the probe scout with those other pair of lings. I feel like he should have brought them straight down to try and capitalize on this advantage. Does try and get a run by into the main base. 4 Zerglings going to be successful in getting in there, as well as another ling putting some more pressure onto that gateway to force one of the Zealots to turn around in defense. Only 1 Zealot on cleanup duty in the main base against these slowlings. Meanwhile, Queen taking 3 bases and just going to be teching up relatively normally while applying a lot of pressure to Best right now. Snipes another probe in the main already. This damage is starting to stack up in a big way. Losing that Zealot and now starting to lose a few probes as well. This will take the wind out of Best's sails going forward and making it as hard as possible for him to establish a strong mid-game timing, which is what Protoss players are so dependent on in this matchup. And while I was talking, he even killed another probe.
I don't know. Is Queen gonna have enough lings back at home to actually deal with this? I think he's gonna need to pull some probes or some drones, excuse me, to try and help out. Yeah, he's gonna pull those drones to fight. But still loses this battle. Drones are not paying attention with them. He's trying to multitask, trying to hit in the main base. Another probe goes down. No drones have fallen so far in the main base, so only superficial damage here, killing off a few lings. That's pretty good for Queen, who's actually dealing economic damage on Best side of the map. Another probe gonna go down here too. My gosh, Queen is really outdoing him in terms of multitasking.
No, he really is. Like, Best was so struggling to stabilize against the ling pressure that he actually abandoned trying to hunt down drones in Queen's main and instead went for the pull. He's lost another 2 probes, man. This is absolutely insane damage. Yeah, I feel like this is one of the holes in Best play, is his early game task switching ability, and Queen taking full advantage of that fact, cleaning up the Zealots behind the minerals while still applying pressure into the main base. And at this point, Best has lost enough probes where as long as Queen plays a perfect game, it's going to be really tough for Best to find a win condition from this point onwards. He's certainly capable of it, and he does have a lot of comeback potential in this matchup in particular, but losing this many probes, even the best players on the planet struggle against a pro gamer.
I don't remember the last time I've seen 3 zealots killed, or 3 zerglings killed this many probes, man. I kind of recall from back in the day, you know, like if Jadon gets his 2 or 3 lings into your main, it's almost game over because he would get so much damage. But it's been a long time since I've seen that level of zergling control, and here comes the follow-up. A lot of lings coming up here to the front. Can he actually get the block? Really good pull on these probes, but some lings are going to slip by into the main. This is just more damage that's going to start to really stack up here for Best. These 3 lings getting in here is painful. You know what, though? That was a very big commitment, and actually might give a little bit of air in this game for Best to work with.
All things considering, it was actually a pretty good hold, right? That was a big commitment. Only a few lings got into the main. He did lose a few more additional probes during the blocking process, but could have been a lot worse. There was actually a little bit of a miss micro there from Queen. His lings stopped running in for just a split second. Best now cleaning up the Isle 5 with some probe micro as well. Nicely done from him. Suddenly the game not looking as clean for Queen anymore, but does get a good surround on these zealots before they can set up, and uses a single drone to glitch out. Really well played from Queen to use this one mining drone to glitch out those zealots for a very cost-efficient trade while getting that lair on the way. I think he was considering putting on some pressure with some Hydras, and now he realizes, I don't even need to do that. I can just make a few Hydras to defend against the Corsair and now do a full transition and just start throwing down macro hatcheries and kind of set up shop again.
Yeah, look at this game, guys. We're actually might get a really fantastic game out of these two after all this craziness in the early parts. Best is struggling, but this is where he succeeds. Oh my gosh, another kill there is pretty rough. The full surround is hard to get with the lings on Zealot, but that was pretty well played. One Overlord goes down here. Little back and forth throughout this game. I really wonder how Best is going to fare with his 2-base push when it eventually comes out.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, Sam. I still feel like this is a very good game state for Queen, although one thing that's now in Best's favor is the Spire is so delayed that the Corsairs might have a field day supply blocking Queen a little bit. There's one more straggler Overlord in the center of the board that Best is unsuccessful in hunting down temporarily, but he did kill one Overlord, which is supply block Queen for a little bit. If he does find that Overlord in the center, suddenly I think the scales of power tip back to being a little bit closer to even for Best, and he has found it. That's the one thing that Best needed, was to supply block Queen yet again, and now I think this game is much more playable for our Protoss player.
There it is. He finishes it off. Hydras are on their way forward. Not able to save that Overlord, though, and will turn around, start to head back home. Evolution Chamber. No Spire here just yet, and he's going to fly through and see that, confirm that there's not going to be a Mulus transition here just yet. Best trying to move around the outside, trying to surprise a little bit Queen at this angle, but just going to get completely surrounded and killed. Oh my goodness, this is a great surround. Completely cutting off the retreat of Best, and will annihilate this Zealot force.
Yeah, just before speed kicked in, like literally the Zealots had their leg enhancements as they were all dying. Really well done from Queen to kind of cut out Best's legs from under him, quite literally there. He was anticipating the Protoss to apply pressure. You don't want to just sit back and do nothing in these situations, and he knew that Best, despite being behind, would try and find a way of sneaking some Zealots into his main base, and was very proactive in not only delaying that, but then setting up to punish it entirely. There is a DT here with this army, but Overlords are trying to get to the front. Corsairs currently gunning them down from behind with some mutual pairs, but just too many Overlords for them to kill, so he will get in here and punish this DT as well. Suddenly Best in a lot of trouble yet again. The Forge is exposed in the front if he can just kill that cannon there, and is successful in doing that. Now the gateway will fall, potentially the Forge as well, and Queen starting to snowball his lead.
That was actually a big kill, getting rid of the gateway there too. There's only one other gateway here for Best right now. He really needs to get a couple High Templars out. Looks like he's just got the 2. We'll have Storm here shortly, but did the +1 finish? This is kind of a late bust. Yeah, +1 is done, so that's actually not as bad as it looks here to lose that Forge at this point.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think actually the +1 was finished before the Forge even started to go down. He was just making the second upgrade at that point, but it's still a nice pickup from Queen. It's another 150 minerals that Best will have to replenish, and it does delay the upgrade timings overall. But, you know, not the worst case scenario for Best either. He is a comeback king. Maybe he can find a way of navigating this game to a win going forward. Although I have to say Queen's in a pretty fantastic position. I have seen Queen throw some leads before in his history. In fact, even against Best. Do you remember the last ASL seasons against Best, where that game on Dominator, where Queen looked fantastic and suddenly Best just steamrolled him? So, yeah, I mean, I don't always count players out when Queen's in positions like this, especially against players of Best caliber and style, but it does look pretty bleak at the moment.
I think we're going to see a big lurker play from Queen. Oh my god. There's no way he gets this DT in. Dude, Best, you've got to be kidding me. The comeback king.
No way.
The Dark Archon, 12 kills, 13, 14, 15 kills. There's no chance, Shun, but it just happened. Queen is going to be scrambling here, trying to get drones up to that top right, or up to that top center. I know he's about to make a bunch of lurkers as well to try and stabilize the situation. Going to be spending a bunch of that gas that he has because he doesn't have a Spire. Okay, no, he actually does have a Spire. Is he going to go for lurkers or is he going to go for mutas here? I imagine it's going to be lurker. But Best is just making a ton of Dragoons, and he is going to come out with a really strong Dragoon army on 2 base. Yeah, here it is. Lurkers in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
Only Dragoons being made here by Best. It's a scary army that's about to come out of this base.
It is pretty scary. Let's see if Queen can set up a strong... Oh, it doesn't look like he can. It looks like Best is going to be moving out just as Queen tries to get in a position to contain. Does get caught with his pants down a little bit there and get some 2-for-1 combo deals with that Sonic Storm, blanketing those lurkers as well. This is looking crazy, man. This is looking like, okay, actually, the comeback King Kong gonna be doing it again, potentially. Like, this, he's not quite yet in line to take the game down, but now suddenly his power spike is actually online. Like, he's gonna have that strength in the mid game that he needed, and I don't think he would have found it had that DT not gotten in there at that precise moment and done the damage it dealt. And now he can take a third base behind this as an insurance policy. Eggs are being cancelled and killed in the center of the board. Queen does have a very large army, but this isn't bad.
He's supply blocked as well. This is a problem. Here comes the lurkers and Hyges pushing up into this army. There's not any zealots to try and buffer for this, so he's completely relying on storms here. He has to storm perfectly, and Queen is just trying to bait those out by ducking in and ducking directly back out again as soon as he engages with the storm. Best is looping around the top side. He's looking for a point of weakness. He's rallying all of his forces here to the front and getting this third base online. Can he actually make a break happen over here at the natural? He's got one observer, 2 observers. The second observer is up here. This is a really tight choke for Queen to try and defend, and that storm was absolutely insane. Best is honestly starting to do it here, and he's sending some zealots to the other side of the map to try and take out the base in top right while all this pressure is going on.
He's barely succeeding in breaching this choke point on the left. I think Queen will eventually fight this back, but the Zealots actually change direction and go for the 12 instead. Not sure if that's wise or not from Best, but it does disrupt the mining from Queen. Rather than going after a hatchery, he's going to try and get on top of the drones and try and force Queen to allocate defenders to the 12 o'clock position while Best is still breaking through the defensive line. Something has to give, either the 12 or the defensive line, and he does lose a lot of units at that rally point as a result, and Best might not even need to kill this base in the top right at the moment. As long as he gets this third base mining, makes a few more rounds of units, he can go for round 2, and I feel like gradually he might be able to wear Queen down in this game. He's even gone up to the top right with a couple of Zealots as a contingency plan after assaulting the 12 o'clock base. That's going to force Queen out of position. Now Queen's going to be pulling all of his units up to this top right quadrant. Meanwhile, Best starting to move out yet again.
Dude, I can feel the panic from Queen. I really feel like he's starting to fall apart here. I've been in similar situations so many times before where it's like, I thought I had this game, man. I thought I was doing just fine here, but then you trade a ton of Hydras into a Storm, and you lose a bunch of drones to a DT, and suddenly the Protoss player is looking really scary. He's 40 supply ahead. He's taking a 4th base. Queen in a bit of desperation. He's got to kind of move here. And he missed the Zealot in the top corner. Oh my gosh, that hidden Zealot over in the top corner. It looks like it's going to be dealt with quickly, but that is just so frustrating for Queen to deal with right now on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's going to throw a wrench into his flow state overall. Like, yes, he does clean it up, but the fact is he's not firing in all cylinders right now. He's even supply blocked because he missed making some overlords during all of the chaos. So definitely not playing optimally at this present moment, although he is sending a counterattack to the 6 o'clock, but Best is prepared for that. He's got his defenders split perfectly, so he can hold on to that 6 o'clock and also defend this newly acquired 3rd base. Best going to be powering up on 4 bases here quite adequately. Queen going to see if he can drive a wedge between the rally point and that 3rd base location, but I'm not sure this gambit will pay off. This is a pretty sizable chunk of Protoss he has to chew through, and this choke point is so hard to overcome. Queen getting absolutely decimated in the value trades that Best is leveraging his way. This is looking suboptimal, to say the least, for Queen at the moment. Best looking better and better as the seconds tick by.
This position is so hard to break. I feel like on Attitude specifically, 4-base Protoss is incredibly difficult to crack open. Both of these chokes are really tight. He's actually trying to hit both at the same time. That can also raise a lot of problems for the Zerg player. You're trying to dodge on multiple fronts, screens apart from each other, moving the Hydras into position, and he does do a reasonable jump trading. He trades off a lot of Dragoons to his credit, but he's dropped all the way down to 85 supply. It's hard to recover from an 85 supply army, especially when you're not getting into Hive, you're not teching up. He's trying to push back here. Actually, Best is just extending himself out here a little bit far. He has the overwhelming numbers of Dragoons, though, and he's got the spread on them as well. The suppressing fire here of the Dragoons is starting to drive Queen back, and he just cannot maintain this level of commitment. He cannot maintain this momentum. Has to tap out. GG is called. Queen taps out. 1 player left on each of these squads. Once again in the KCM. It's crazy how this keeps happening, Shun. The comeback King Kong does it again. Best spawning in the bottom right-hand corner now versus Rush in the top left on Octagon. This is one of my favorite new maps, and this has been an absolute blast to watch KCM and players just kind of discover and figure out how to play this map. It's really surprised me, and you know, the simplicity of having just a wide open center seems kind of crazy, but it's actually given us some very interesting situations.
Yeah, I think the Octagon is very suitable for the style of StarCraft we have in the modern era. I do kind of think of these guys as like cage fighter nerds, right? Like how intense some of these games are. I think it's very apt. But I just want to point out how far ahead Queen was in that early game. It's absolutely bonkers crazy to me how no matter how much the odds are stacked against this guy, he always has win conditions lined up, and he does it better than anyone else. Like, it's almost like he plays better from behind. It's kind of baffling how we always seem to see this trend with Best. He always finds awkward positions that he digs his way out of, and it's to his credit, man. I feel like he kind of needs to have that X factor if he wants any chance of winning something like an ASL.
Best always has a puncher's chance to go along with the theme of fighters. It's like even no matter how much he's been beat up on, he's always coming out throwing haymakers and maybe catching you in a point of weakness.
The Rocky of StarCraft.
Yeah, definitely Queen got caught there in a few different moments and allowed another amazing comeback from Best, but Rush here, will he fall victim to the same sort of situation? Will he be taken down like light in his games versus Best? Let's see what kind of twist on the Octagon TVP experience that Rush has in store for us here.
Yeah, sometimes I like imagine Best like barely standing with a black eye and just muttering, "I ain't hear no bell." Oh, it really does blow my mind. I'm always pleasantly surprised, despite I kind of expect him to do it, and it still blows my mind every time. Right? That's something special that he can pull that out of the bag so much. But gonna be facing off against Rush, and it's cross-mapped without a Nexus first, so that helps Rush a little bit too. And yeah, I have to say, Rush is probably currently one of the best Terrans on the planet. I mean, there are other good Terrans out there, don't get me wrong. You know, we got Light, we got Barracks, we got a few other guys, Speed, what have you, Sharp. But I don't think any of them are quite playing at the same level of consistency of Rush. So my eyes are going to be on Rush and Royal for this ASL. But I would like to be surprised by that as well. I would love to see someone like Speed suddenly shoot through to the round of 8 or something. But I don't see it being very likely. I think that Rush is way more of a likely contender deep into ASL than one of those other guys.
Yeah, Rush is another one of those guys who should have had an ASL by now. I am brought back to that ASL. I think it was JYJ, the TVT finals that he had, where JYJ ended up winning. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it was Rush versus JYJ, and Rush barely managed to lose that. That, to me, was kind of crazy, because I really thought that Rush was a better player, but JYJ managed to clutch that out, and I think Rush has proven that he's got more longevity in the scene than JYJ ultimately as well.
Well, Rush is way better Rush is a much more well-rounded player than JYJ, and I think you could make the argument that JYJ got a little bit lucky that tournament. He dodged pretty much every Protoss, right? Like, that was a little bit of a lucky run, and that's the reality of ASL, guys. It's not just about skill. There is a lot of RNG in it in terms of what opponents you get. You kind of need the stars to align, and you play out of your mind for you to actually get the title, which is why it's such an insane tournament. Sometimes you have some exceptions to that rule where you're such a dominant player that you can get consecutive wins. We saw that with Soulkey, but again, that's more of an exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, if we were just trying to figure out like who is the best standard player, then we would only have the same like 5 maps every single ASL, right? We would have like Polypoid, we would have like Polypoid,
please no,
you know, Vermeer, like just the most basic milquetoast maps ever that just allow players to just see, you know, who's the absolute best. But we want to have some of that excitement. We want to mix things up and give different players a chance to win. And so it's not necessarily the best player, but it's the guy who catches fire in the bottle, like the guy who catches
lightning in a
jar, whatever it is. I missed on that one.
That's okay. But I think you're spot on with that. Yeah, it isn't really like the best standard StarCraft player, right? It's the guy who's the most adaptable, right? The guy that's able to overcome odds and learn new metas and new strategies on the fly, and be able to kind of go off-road and freestyle his way to greatness. You can't just play box standard all the way to the end of the ASL run. You kind of are forced to mix it up somewhere along the line. And if you don't have that adaptability, if you don't have the stamina, the conditioning, and the presence on stage to not be overwhelmed by the lights and the crowd and what have you, you kind of need to be the whole package rather than just being a good player. So yeah, I think that's really special for that reason. Looks like Rush was considering a 3-tank push here. Looks like he is going to be pulling the trigger on that eventually anyway, although Best has got good eyes on that, and Observer is tracking that army presently. Taking a very conservative third base timing here just before 7 minutes, and that means that Rush will be knowing deep down that probably Best will be adequately prepared to deal with this. He was thinking about going around the long way and hitting the third base from the left-hand angle, but he's identified that the Observer's been tracking him, and he's going to be thinking better of committing to an attack like this and just going to be retreating back to home. And I think that's a very wise decision, considering how late he saw that third base go down. You have to assume Best is prepared.
Yeah, you kind of do. It's a good decision here from Rush. It can be really difficult to dislodge the Terran player from that high ground on the left-hand side. But with Best kind of knowing that that's coming, he can possibly preempt that. Rush falling back and, you know, maybe waiting for like a five factory, maybe a 6 factory push might be a bit better. I don't know. What do you think is the best way to play PvP on this map in terms of build order choice?
I'm not 100% certain about it yet. I think that the map is still a little bit in its infancy, so I'm not 100% convinced of what is the best style. I think just a 5 factory into a fast mineral only is probably the most optimal play that I've seen thus far. There probably is a different way of playing that maybe is stronger than that, but I don't think so. I think especially when you get cross-map like this, I think just getting 5 factories and taking an early 3rd base at the mineral only is one of the strongest openings you can go for.
I think you're right. I think that this map might be the best map in the pool right now for split map Terran, though.
Maybe, yeah.
Because there's the octagon in the middle, and there's only 4 different routes out of that middle of the map, and then the other areas are so tight. The chokes are so tight for units to run around through. If you're able to just block those 2 areas, you guys can see in the middle of the map, there's the octagon, the top left and the top right. If you're able to get tanks on those high grounds and then build turrets on the low ground in front, it's so difficult to break that half of the map. And if you just lock that down as Terran, you can easily push into the center right and the center left and just keep denying bases for Best. It does take a lot to get to that position, and there's a lot that can go wrong, but I think that that might be, in the end, one of the stronger ways to play PvP on this map.
Very possibly. I also think carriers are a bit of an X factor on this map. Carriers are super weak in the big wide open center like this, but if they can go around the edge of the map, I think they're really strong. There's a lot of terrain for the carriers to exploit if they can just keep flying around the map and knocking out expansion. So I think a good style to counter a Terran trying to set up a split map situation would be something like carriers as well. I think there's definitely options for Protoss players to punish that. We have seen a little bit of a resurgence of some Arbiter play out of people. I feel like it's okay. I don't think it's the most optimal way of playing Protoss, but it is very underused. I feel like there are a lot of situations Arbiters are still pretty strong. I wonder if we'll see more of that on this map as well. Looks like Best eyeing up some potential harassment damage here in the natural expansion. 2 Reavers get some pretty big scout connections on some of these SCVs. A total of 7 kills on these Reavers now, and he does clear out 2 turrets to free up some airspace for him to continue this aggression and try and hunt down some of these SCVs, not only delaying the mining here, but potentially getting some further damage, and can trade off some of the units as they come over this bumper back into the main base. And doesn't lose the shuttle after clearing out that last Goliath. Suddenly this damage starting to stack up a little bit now for Best, and oh, he does lose the shuttle with the Reavers inside. Very big miss micro from Best, barely flying in range of the longbolt missile of that turret, helping Rush clean up without losing too much more for that trade.
Oof, that was a lot of damage, though. Rush took a ton of time to set up turrets and mines all over inside his main base really early on. Actually, a little bit too early on, because Best didn't have the Reaver prepared for a long time. So he set that up super early, and none of it came into play here because Best completely went around that and found that pocket there in the back. Crises averted, cleaning up those Reavers, but this attack coming in right now is really scary. I really like the unsiege there from Rush to clean up those zealots, and the re-siege here is actually very good. He's taking a pretty reasonable trade against this. Does he have a few more vultures popping out here? He's got to target fire the Dragoons as well. Just barely enough zealots and barely enough Dragoons to actually break this. It's crazy, but Best is doing it again.
How does he calculate, like, oh yeah, I've got enough stuff, I just go? It's like, how would you even make that call? Like, most players would have looked at that fight and been like, oh yeah, Rush is fine. Like, it's really bizarre how Best is able to not only calculate when he can go, but also execute it in that fashion. He's got another round of Zealots coming in. There's a mine on top of those tanks as well. The splash damage goes down, clips some of those tanks. Luckily, it wasn't maximum damage coverage, so the tank's relatively healthy still, but are being chased down by those speed upgraded Zealots now. And Rush is falling apart a little bit, splitting at the seams as Best is just running it down. And he's got 4 bases behind this, don't forget. This isn't like Best being all in and desperately trying to punish Rush's third base or anything. This is just a very standard timing attack done to perfection. And looks like just as Rush starts to stabilize, there's another round of units coming across the map to see if he can capitalize yet again and keep that tank count critically low.
Yeah, this is a common problem on maps like this, where you've got the high ground leading in towards the Terran third base. The push is pretty darn strong coming down off that high ground, and he's just going to get right in on top of these tanks, finishing them off and removing Terran from the equation. Best is on a roll, and he's only got Jaedong to take on next. All right, guys, we just had to go back and check. There's no all-kill available here for Best. Light took out Soma first, so
yeah,
that big prize that's been accumulating over the past few weeks is still going to continue to rise. It's like 4 million yen, something like, or 4 million won, excuse me, not yen. That's accumulated for quite some time, and that'll have to maybe wait until the next week, till the last week of maybe somebody can pull that out. But I feel like everybody's at such a high level. It's so hard to all kill right now.
It really is. I mean, we were kind of spoiled when we had all kills in previous seasons of the KCM. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys back at home are now so used to all kills, you're a little bit surprised that there isn't any. But the reality was those all kills were insane when we did see them in KCM. It's very tricky to be such a good StarCraft gamer that you're eliminating like 4 or 5 pro gamers in a row. It's just not that likely to transpire in reality, but we have seen it in the past. Just everyone now so good because of preparations for that ASL. Even Soma, as good as he is, getting smacked down on match point against Light. So yeah, really tough for these guys to get that prize. Mo is going to roll over to the next one and the next one until someone finally gets it, and it'll be even juicier when the time comes. It's like Best just going to be doing a traditional Forge Fast Expand. He always pretty much goes for Forge Fast Expand. He likes the cannon rush when you go for hatchery first, and he's a macro style Protoss, so it pretty much makes sense for him to go Forge Fast Expand almost every single time, unless it's like a best of 5 or a best of 7 that he's got to play, and he might then mix it up a little bit. But not too surprised to see this from either one of these gamers. If you're playing against Best, I doubt any of you guys are playing against Best on the ladder, but anyone that's a Zerg pro gamer playing against Best, they're probably going to open up Overpool, knowing that this guy will cannon rush you otherwise.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised to see Best open Gateway expansion versus Queen, and he actually got punished for it. So
yeah,
that's not going to transpire here. He's just going to have cannon finish, and he will pull probes to make sure that this doesn't end up running by. Actually, the Ling's just going to sit out in front here, actually, instead of coming over and killing the pylon, which is a little bit funny. He should really come back here and actually finish this. Okay, he does cancel that, so Jaedong can get his hatchery on time. Kind of a funny move from him to just send out the Lings and then just park and hold position outside of range of Best vision. And did the probe go down? I guess he got the probe, huh? Over in the natural?
I think so. I'm really curious to see how Jaedong plays against Best overall, because Jaedong is such a different beast, right? Like, he's the kind of guy that makes the game chaotic intentionally. Like, he's got quite a lot of hyper aggression inside of him. Like, don't get me wrong, he can play a solid macro game. It's just similar to Action. Action is a macro player, but he's very aggressive while macroing. Jaedong is kind of like Action on steroids. Like, he always finds a way of creating a ladder out of chaos to climb to victory. Against someone with such strong fundamentals as Best, I have a feeling if the game could end up being fireworks as a result. We'll have to wait and see if that does transpire. But Best does get past the first line of defense with those Zerglings and gets confirmation scout in the main base. This is great for Best. Just knowing for sure this is going to be a 3-base Spire build rather than something like a 973. The hard part is over for Protoss at this point. Any scouting you do before the Corsair is popped out is basically the only thing you're really concerned about as Protoss. Like, it's very hard to be caught unawares, and now you can optimize, right? You don't have to make an extra cannon, or your tech timings can be nice and crisp, and you don't really have to panic as much or hedge your bets. So this is about as good as it gets for Best going forward.
Bit surprised that Jaedong let that in. He saw the probe move out on the map and had Lings ready, but lets that into the main. Full scout gives Best a lot of peace of mind here, and like you said, should be able to min-max against this. Just the 2 zealots in the wall for now. Ling's speed is done. Can he actually get by here? Oh boy, he's gonna run right by into the main base. Great blocking from Best. He's not gonna have as many Lings in the main as he could have, but 4 is still plenty of damage here. Could potentially get plenty of damage, and since they are Jaedong Lings, more Lings on the way. Uh-oh. Jaedong might just bust this wide open. 1 cannon in the main base is coming up, but there's definitely not enough zealots at that natural to defend this cannon.
I think Stork started a second cannon, but it won't be in time if he did. Okay, he didn't start a second cannon. There's just a zealot chilling there. Oh, jeez. He does get a slight surround on the cannon with some probes, but not quite enough to stop the cannon from falling overall. It does clean up the majority of those Zerglings. So maybe if Jaedong didn't commit to making additional Zerglings, this is going to be okay. I think Crisis somewhat averted now for Best. I think that's one of the weaknesses of Best. He does tend to be a little bit weak to early Ling timings. Like you saw, he tried to block the gap between the forge and the cliff with just 1 single zealot. You can't do that. There's a gap on either side to the Lings. You kind of have to throw in a probe to make that a full wall in. I would like to see him start to do that more often, where he just allocates a probe. But right now, Scourge in hot pursuit, trying to find interception course on that Corsair and stopping it running to the path of safety to the natural expansion cannon. Best trying to break the ankles of those Scourge to get it anyway, and it doesn't look like he's able to do that. Does get rid of 1 pair of Scourge on his tail, but the other one hunting him down.
Yeah, he might just fly through for another scout. Ah, he loses it there. It's unfortunate. Best now in a bit of trouble here with the damage, the cannon that's gone down, and now the Corsair falling. There's a lot of options open to Jaedong in terms of which direction he can go. Speed finishes up here. He's going to try and mount this high ground, but he's going to quickly realize that that's not going to be possible. Actually, Jaedong, I think, tried to cut like 1 zealot off there at the top of the ramp, see if he couldn't surround and you know, force that into a bad position, but kind of missed the opportunity. Does push everything back, though, really significantly, and Best is on the back foot once again. Is it time for another comeback from Best? Oh, man, this Ling is still alive in the main. Are you kidding me? That thing's been running around for a long time in the main base.
Well, Best is behind, so he's going to win, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
That's one way of looking at it.
You got to survive this. It's kind of a scary moment here. This is quite a few Hydras. He actually buys enough time for 1 more cannon to finish. I think that's enough to allow him to get up to 5 cannons, and in fact, Jaedong realizes he's probably not going to get in there. Big round of drones pops out for him.
Yeah, the main issue is this DT now as well. He had no chance of getting an Overlord over here, so that completely squelches any hope of Jaedong getting in here and doing critical damage and maybe sniping the Forge after killing 1 of those cannons. So Best does kind of, you know, survive reasonably well. He didn't lose too much when all said and done. I have to say, though, I'm impressed with Jaedong. Like, he's one of the oldest pro gamers that we have in the scene, and he still plays pretty tenaciously. Like, his overall APM mechanics are pretty darn good for his age. I would be really curious to see him if he's able to actually find some level of greatness yet again in the future and actually start performing well in like the events like the ASL or not. He's doing a pretty good job of running down this Protoss squad. Does take out the Dark Templar and a few of those Zealots. Like, this is pretty great play from Jaedong. Like, yes, he didn't do critical damage to Best when he had an opportunity to, but overall, looking at the game state on paper, if you just pause the game right now and looked at everything, actually Jaedong's ahead.
Jaedong definitely hanging in there, man. If we had like a Jaedong Bisu finals, how insane that would that be? That would be absolutely crazy to see those two very old school gamers once again battling it out for a Star League, and neither of them have the title yet. Like, that would be transcendent experience casting that game, I gotta say. So I'm very hopeful that Jaedong can achieve that level you were talking about earlier. For now, he's battling very well against Best. This base that just went down in the bottom corner, probably not gonna live because the Zealots are there on top of it, but he doesn't need it right now. He can send another drone down here. He can potentially try to trap these Zealots and kill them off and then get another drone into this position. I think he's just barely going to make it in time to prevent these from getting away. So this is actually not too bad for Best, or for Jaedong. He's traded like 350 minerals for like 600 minerals here in terms of Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, forcing the Zealots to chase the drone down to the corner of the map bought him a few precious seconds to get down here. Even going to be Lurker Egg glitching out these Zealots for an optimal trade, so he's barely going to lose anything for his efforts as well, and Best can't really punish that. It's not like he can attack another location while Jaedong is distracted down here, so this is an overall win for Jaedong still. Yeah, oh, he's gonna hide it again. Yes. Like, this is so funny. Like, he's just a solid macro Protoss, but he has a little bit of tricksy about him as well. But Jaedong actually does find that Zealot and takes it out this time around. So already doing a lot better than Queen in that regard. And overall, Jaedong looking pretty fantastic. He's actually ahead of supply at the mark where Protoss should be at their strongest at the early mid game. Jaedong's already ahead in supply. So that's a sign of how strong of player Jaedong is right now. That he's playing against the best macro Protoss in the world, and he's ahead on supply at the mid game mark. That's a great sign. And he's even got a pair of Scourge standby to maybe catch this shuttle coming in, although Best is being very smart. He's sending the Corsairs ahead of schedule to make sure there's very little hope of them hunting down that shuttle.
Okay, he's gonna wait for the Overlord to die before sending in the shuttle, or pushing it away before sending in the shuttle. Hydras are coming, no, and he's got an Overlord with this. DT comes in. Jaedong gonna shut this down immediately. He sees it, and he will get rid of this. This is really solid play.
Beautiful play from Jaedong.
Just having the Overlord there with the Corsair or with the Scourge made all the difference in the world, and it cuts off that comeback mechanic we saw against Queen.
Yeah. Jaedong's looking very solid overall, which is what always blows my mind. Like, he is actually an aggressive Zerg, but his overall fundamentals and understanding of the game is pretty unparalleled as well. He's had a little bit of issues with execution in recent years. Granted, he's getting older now. It's kind of a big ask to expect him to keep up with some of these other guys, but he's hanging in there, man. He's showing some great games of StarCraft, and he's looking like he's fighting fit for ASL with some of this play. I don't think he's going to win the tournament, but I certainly feel like he's on the cusp of being a contender at the moment.
Ooh, okay. Secondary drop comes in. Jaedong should have expected this because the shuttle was not killed. He's definitely it's definitely a threat on the map. Gonna go after the Spire here and try to cause a bit of pandemonium while this army comes out to trade with the army of Jaedong. Can he actually get some great storms here? That's a pretty good one, killing off a bunch of Hydras and that Lurker as well. Best taking advantage of the chaos of the moment, getting a pretty decent trade, but overall still very close in supply as Jaedong right now.
Yeah, he didn't actually have many of his forces brought to bed. That's a pretty big storm though. Oh my gosh. Jaedong was setting up for a pincer maneuver, anticipating Best to move southward, which meant his army was a little bit disjointed when it finally came time to clash with the main battle force of Best in the center there. But he still manages to win the trade overall. That's kind of crazy, right? That trade went about as bad as it gets for Jaedong, and he still comes out on top. Meanwhile, though, Best finally has that third base established behind this and will be set up pretty nicely himself. But overall, game state still favoring Jaedong. He's got those 4 bases already set up and online. looking pretty fantastic with those trades. The army of Best is starting to get scary. He's just about hitting that critical threshold, that critical mass of 2 control groups worth of Dragoons in his army to start fighting with an elevator of some Zealots into the main base. Jaedong, though, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, and has units ready to respond to that threat. It does kind of open up Jaedong for Best to start to move out a little bit here, but Jaedong's actually setting up a counterattack. He's maybe anticipating either Best being out of position or punishing a 4th base that's undefended. He's going for that 4th base that could be undefended right now, but great game sense from Best has actually pulled back his army to defend this despite having no scouting information at all. These guys have just got star sense coming out of their ears.
Yeah, that was a really good move from Jaedong to get back into the main base and cover this. And now look at all the overlords and Scourge up in the top center. He knows that shuttle is active and wants to make sure that he doesn't take any more damage from it as he switches into Hive here. Still some Corsairs flying around, but he should be able to bring enough Scourge forward to just deal with that. Just 6 Scourge will kill every last Corsair and remove this threat, open up the skies for overlords to really take control and give him full scouting information in the top part of the map. Jaedong spread out absolutely everywhere else. He sees nearly everything throughout the middle of this map now, and he is closing in towards this 4th base, but I don't know if you can break this here. I talked about it last game we had on this map. It's so hard to break Protoss on 4 bases here. I don't know if you can do it, and if it's even worth it to try.
It does seem like this map pool is slightly geared to make it harder for Zergs this season, right? Like, a lot of these maps do kind of favor the other races in one way or another, or at least be balanced. Shuttle with DT in the main base for Jaedong. They're going to be trying to build some pressure, but Jaedong is pretty much on top of everything. There's not really a time he's being caught completely unawares. Although I have to mention that Best is in line to set up a comeback. Like, Jaedong was on Battle Zerg for a very long while. He's only just now transitioning to Hive, and the main point of Battle Zerg is to kind of win trades and keep the Protoss from expanding too rapidly. But despite Best losing on the trades on one side of the fence, on the other side of the fence, he actually did get his 4th base up in a relatively timely manner. So I don't think this game is over for Best. It's still going to be tough. Jaedong is still pretty massive, and he's getting at the Defiler Mound on the way now, but this is the critical moment. Best has a window of about a minute and a half where actually he could start to win some trades with Jaedong at long last and start to turn the tide ever so slightly. Just when Jaedong is getting set up with that Defiler, with the 5th base coming online, maybe Best can make this work.
That was a great storm on the left-hand side. Jaedong can't watch everywhere in this battle all at the same time. He's got to kind of flick his screen around and try to make sure that he's not getting stormed too brutally. Make sure that the Hydras are at least spread out so that you have to use multiple storms to kill big groups. He's running back here. This dude out in the middle of the map, what are those things called? Lions?
I can't remember their names. It's one of the things I can't remember. But
I would have to look that up before ASL for sure. That's definitely going to come up. But that little O in the middle of the map is a bit of a problem. Not many maps have a structure like that in the middle. And so if you're just pulling back using the mini-map, you're not really paying attention, a lot of your army can get kind of stuck and maybe pulled apart in that location.
Yeah, he was actually trying to like move down to the bottom and left, but some of his army went around on the right-hand side, and he was forced to retreat because some of his army like pathed around the other side of that structure, and Jaedong tried to punish that. Now finally making his way to the southern hemisphere of the map to get down and punish this newly established 5th base. Jaedong losing a lot of units to these Psionic Storms. Finally the supplies tipping back towards being more Protoss-centric at the moment. Jaedong has been ahead in supply pretty much this entire game. Now Best ahead by 30 supply, and he's taking up the Nidus Canal in the top right natural. Suddenly the unit circulation being disrupted from Jaedong as well, and Best going to try and capitalize on using these tight little chokes to his advantage. He needs to get in here quick so that the army coming in from behind is also choked up. He's doing a pretty good job of it. He even has a small distraction force at the natural rally point because of those Zealots that killed the Nidus. He he was kind of hanging up a lot of the units of Jaedong and kind of getting some congestion going on there. So it took a long time for Jaedong to get all of his forces down here to defend, and a lot of his lurkers getting clumped up and stormed into oblivion. When he does try and get down here, small moments of panic are setting in for Jaedong. Gradually, this is escalating out of control as our comeback King Kong seems to be on the path to doing it yet again, saying, what can't this guy do? No matter how much the odds are against him, it's always like he's got that puncher's chance. It's kind of insane. I was wondering if he was going to be able to do it yet again, since he did get that 4th base online relatively undeterred despite the trades going Jaedong's way, and it does seem like he's doing it. He's knocked out this 5th base. He's got a pretty strong contingency of force down here still. Jaedong has slightly cut off the path of reinforcement from Best, so he might eventually clean up this army, but maybe not. Maybe Best can still join up forces with these rallied zealots and overwhelm Jaedong.
Yeah, he's done it here, Shun. Like, there's no way to recover now. Jaedong doesn't have that Nidus over in top right. He might be getting it back up and online again, but he's going to be knocked down off of this 4th base here at a moment, and Best is taking more bases. He's expanding out, and he's continuing to pressure. Only 85 supply to 141, breaking down this base. I'm just sitting here, I'm just shaking my head the entire time you're talking, because like, there's just no way he's done it again. Twice in one cast. That's crazy. Best makes it happen and gets another Protoss win on the board. I don't know what's going on with Best, guys. If he doesn't win this season of ASL, I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy. It's crazy what kind of level he's showing these days.
Right.
And it's not even like tactically he's amazing. It's not even like, you know, early game is fantastic. It's just his trading with the Protoss army, his understanding of how to use the resources of the Protoss, and his ability to just keep making units and stay calm under pressure is something to behold, man. It's pretty impressive.
It does seem like he's got one of the strongest winner mindsets out of more or less all of the pro gamers. It doesn't seem like he ever gets phased or really bothered by anything. No matter how bad the outlook might be, he always stays calm, like a cool as a cucumber, and does what he needs to win. And like, you know, he got half of the puzzle put together. Despite losing the trades with Jaedong, he did manage to set up that 4th base undeterred, and the main role of Battle Zerg is to win trades and deny the expansions. And Jaedong did do a good job. He did do some good trades. He did kill off the Protoss army very effectively, but what he didn't do was slow down Best taking a 4th base, and that was the main crucible or catalyst, whatever you want to call it, of how he managed to mount a comeback warpath there. And that basically sets things in stone now for Protoss. This will be a Zerg versus Terran semi-finals, no matter what now. So Week 8 won't be as exciting because, you know, they're going to be playing for the all-kill prize and what have you, but they won't really stand to gain much in terms of the point structure anymore. Terran can't even overcome Zerg in points as well. So yeah, we will be having a Zerg versus Terran semifinals. I'm kind of happy about that. I think a ZVT semifinals is exciting for me. I love ZVT, and to guarantee it would be great. And I would love to see a PVZ finals as well. That's one of my favorite matchups. I'm happy pretty much no matter what happens, as long as I get to see ZVT for sure. So yeah, I'm a happy camper. That's one thing's for certain. I'm still just so blown away by Best. Like, I think ever in history we've seen a player consistently come back from losing positions as much as Best. I can't think of any other player, any other time in history where someone has managed to that often come back from a losing game state and do it so confidently as well. Like it never seems like he's flimsy when he's doing it. It always seems like he's just going through the motions, like it's a 9-to-5 job for him.
To use the boxing metaphor, it's like he just knows how to breathe when all the other boxers are, you know, holding their breath as they're getting punched. And he's just constantly getting more oxygen. He's just constantly refueling his army and hitting with more strength than anybody else can after a battle like that. You're just battling, fighting, and then he just has more than the opponent because he's been keeping his cool and keeping his breath going. Pretty impressive, to say the least, man. And I don't know if he can keep it up all the way into the ASL season, but I'm excited to see what he can do in that. But mostly, generally, guys, when we have, KCM coinciding with the ASL, things start to drop off a little bit. The players aren't as motivated to compete in KCM. We'll see what kind of lineups we get here for week 8 and the semis and finals. It'll be contingent on whether the players are, playing in, the ASL qualifiers or the ASL Open or what have you, whatever's going on at the time. But we appreciate you guys showing up nonetheless to watch this beautiful tournament. We've had an absolute blast bringing it to you guys this whole time.
Yeah, and we one thing we forgot to mention earlier, we got so distracted by how crazy good the games were, was that we do have a Patreon page. If you want to go to Sayan Duocast, the .com, the Patreon, the link will be in the description. But appreciate all of you guys for your love and support. I hope you are getting as excited as we are for the ASL. And just to double down on the boxing analogy, I think also like when he's in the corner recovering between rounds, he's also not even sitting down. He's staying on the balls of his feet and bouncing to more quickly recover the equilibrium in his brain to come back fighting strong every single time. I'm really impressed with Best. I want to see more great things from him in the future. Thanks so much again, guys, for all of your support and love. We have nothing but love for you and the game. And we really do enjoy bringing you these casts each week. And we're super excited for the ASL and to see the conclusion of KCM with that semi-finals and finals that will be coming up soon. Week 8 won't be that as exciting because it doesn't really matter what happens per se. But hopefully we'll see some good games still. And just one more thing. I really do feel like at this point you could put Best with like 2 B-rank players from the ladder and Protoss still have a shot at winning, which is kind of insane to think about.
You mean 2v1? Yeah, maybe.
No. I mean, like you put Best in a lineup with 2 amateur players that are B rank on the ladder, and Pro still has a chance of winning.
Yeah, just Best versus everybody, basically. Yeah, I mean, maybe nobody else needs to even show up potentially. He is just that good, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.